My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state.
Temperatures reach the high 90s during peak game time Sunday afternoon as the heat wave continues to come down hard on SoCal.
It's very hot here in Illinois.
That's P.O.C.
It's like a green room in here. I mean, I know the city is beautiful, but it's like the greenhouse here.
And CAL FIRE's group stalking with them.
Well, the heat has caused thousands of people to lose power.
That's the light source over them in Inglewood.
On Thursday, the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power is having
LADWP. That's the light source that's rising and setting over me in Hesperia, California. At this hotel where you just heard the entity engaged in criminal summoning with CAL FIRE here. They're all going to federal prison. This is KCAL News reporting, and this is the specific environment that's being exposed while they're reporting the news.
Back at SoFi, Charger fans say not even a record-breaking heat wave would keep them away from being here on game day.
If you're a Charger fan, it comes down, it doesn't matter with the heat, the weather, nothing.
The stadium is also designed to keep fans cool on the outside, too. A SoFi representative says outside the stadium it's about 4 degrees cooler than it really is. Reporting from SoFi Stadium, Lauren Kozik, KCAL News.
That's P.O.C. In addition, the moment that I began recording, the entity engages in the elements of monitoring. This is a sex offense that the entity is engaging in, and you know that because you just saw the people of the state showing you the light source, which is not the sun, hovering over the SoFi Stadium. I believe they're reporting that it's in Inglewood, California, where they also reported the temperature. I want to make sure that you remember that I documented on podcast the entity had a hailstorm. A hailstorm, which is also resulting what I was documenting on the internet, which all of the entity was monitoring. The long hailstorm that stopped the moment that I started recording podcast it was at 1:21 p.m. yesterday. Today is 4:18 a.m. right now on what is September 9th, 2024. CAL FIRE is indeed engaged in federal stalking. Joe Tyler is indeed a demon-possessed terrorist, a domestic terrorist who is over a terrorist organization, not a legitimate fire department. They're engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. That's why they're engaged in what is criminal summoning with the entity that's using a fire alarm to engage in the elements of monitoring while they're engaged in federal stalking as I begin recording video of criminal conduct, which the People of the state reporting the news to you can let you know about what is federal group stalking and monitoring that's occurring in Hesperia, California at 9750 Key Point. The employees are going to federal prison. This is what the entity did, sounding the alarm while a hailstorm was occurring in the afternoon, which is also documented on podcasts. This is where the fake sun is rising and setting. There is no sun that's going to be over the SoFi Stadium, which you just saw them reporting and showing you the light source directly over them, where the entity was reporting that it was over 90, over 100 degrees, where they were at the Chargers game, I believe that was. That's P.O.C. And with simultaneity, at 4 in the morning, when I begin recording, the alarm is used as a means of the elements of monitoring. Okay? And I want to be clear, in this specific environment, which I'll go ahead and remind you about right now. Let's go ahead and get that, because these are indeed demons who are group stalking and engaged in federal stalking. Jess, who you saw providing an admission regarding CAL FIRE being group stalkers, which has nothing to do with what room that they're staying in. They're group stalking by staying at the hotel, period. Just providing ongoing extra information that nobody asked for. Just aware of the fact that CAL FIRE is group stalking. That's the state, and her providing that information is the basis of her providing evidence against her. She's going to federal prison for group stalking with the state. Okay, and I want to be clear again, the significance of what I captured on video is speaking to the fact that while the entity had a hailstorm here, and the fake sun is captured over this hotel from sunrise until sunset. This is where the entity is maintaining the light source for the duration of the day. And as I wake up right now, 4 in the morning, and begin capturing that evidence, which is going to be used against the people of the state here, that's the people of the state in California that I'm prosecuting. And in Inglewood, where the light source is over SoFi Stadium, it's not also at the same time over this hotel building at any point in the day, and remaining from rising on this side of the building until set in alignment with my window, sunset in the evening. At no point is it ever going to be over SoFi Stadium. And that's the people of the state providing evidence against their criminal conduct. The entity sounding the alarm right now were the elements of monitoring, and that's relevant to what is federal stalking. That's what they're engaging in. They're engaged in what is monitoring. And that's why you have the alarm going off for no reason, just like it did when the hailstorm was ongoing. And the entity is engaging what is elements of monitoring. Aware of the fact that I am, aware of the fact that I am publishing evidence onto the venue of the internet. And this is the environment where the entity is using the smoke alarm to engage in the elements of monitoring. And this is impossible light activity with street lamps. That's not light activity caused by the street lamps. Okay, so I want you to see shadow on this. Here's my one hand. All right. And here is the back of the room where there's more. Let me zoom in. This is all impossible light activity. This is the demonic. There's my shadow again. 2 hands back here. And here's my shadow again. This is all on one side of the room. Okay, and so let's go right over to the opposite side. This is one window. Street lamps do not cause this light activity. You're looking at the demonic. The entity engaged in the demonic while you witnessed using the sound alarm. That's light activity, audible activity. CAL FIRE is indeed the state that's here group stalking, okay? And this is evidence against them while they are at this venue where the fake sun rises and sets. They engaged in massive demonic activity, which the world witnessed while they were group stalking in that parking lot. You saw the elements of monitoring by a bunch of demons who are wearing CAL FIRE uniforms, exposing the demon who was over this department, Joe Tyler, who are engaging in a sex offense right now while they're monitoring in a private space while the entity sounds a alarm at 4 in the morning for no purpose. There's no smoke, no fire. Just like during the hailstorm yesterday afternoon at 1:20 in the afternoon, there was no smoke, there was no fire, and the alarm was used with regard to my use of my communication device uploading evidence. Their parking lot. That's what this is. They're group stalking. All right. They were engaged in a sex offense, monitoring me and molesting me with engineered light, not the use of headlights. It's not the normal use of lights. Demons use engineered light to molest your body while they're stalking you. It's a sexually motivated aspect of the pattern of conduct. All right. That's the conduct of a sex offender, which is what CAL FIRE engaged in. And they're group stalking in the engineered environment. They came to the entity, the engineered light moves inside while that demon is crossing paths in the parking lot. Impossible light activity flashing on the inside of the room. That's a demon. And so are they. Group stalking together with the people of the state. So this is what the entity is doing while the entity sounds the alarms. This is Holiday Inn, the people of the state. This is the people of the state engaging in light activity creation while they're being exposed. And this is my shadow that's also appearing on the opposite side of the wall. Okay? Again, this is, both sides. This is the shadows appearing on both sides. Those are demons that are CAL FIRE, the entity using, again, for a criminal purpose. That's called criminal summoning, which is used to summon demons who are engaged in state surveillance with the people of the state, whose crossing and path conduct results in flashing of light inside of this hotel room, the same pattern of conduct that you saw the LAPD engaging in when they were stalking in helicopters, engaged in criminal summoning. All right. And the entity was engaging in impossible light activity inside of my hotel room. Massive documentation that is already published online right now that you can go look at yourself. Much of it is on the front page of the YouTube channel, which is going to be used to prosecute CAL FIRE, to prosecute the state of California, to prosecute Holiday Inn and drain their pockets, to put the employees in federal prison, and the patrons who are demon-possessed third-party group stalkers, they're going to federal prison, and it's used to prosecute Dominic Choi and the LAPD, which is also the greater prosecution of the state of California. But that evidence is online right now. There is no sun that's ever going to be over the SoFi Stadium like you saw on the news right now. That's going at any point of day when you have seen it setting in alignment to me, where you're looking at the Motel 6 after 6 p.m., because that's exactly where the fake sun is setting in alignment to me. And while I'm at this venue, the entity has the fake sun reflecting off of the building of the Motel 6, molesting my person while I'm at the doors of this entrance at 6 a.m. in the morning, where the entity is rising a fake sun. You saw the entity provide an admission that hailstorm was a real-time reaction, in the same way the use of that smoke alarm was a real-time reaction regarding what I am doing. That's how an entity is group stalking, and these demons are group stalking in the parking lot, listening to the evidence being published against them like psychopaths do. Okay, that's the behavior, that's the mindset of psychopaths who are CAL FIRE. California Department of Forestry and Fire Protections are domestic terrorists. They're sex offenders, and the use of a smoke alarm is the elements of monitoring. You saw them pacing around in the parking lot last night, having perpendicular shadows on both sides of their persons while they're driving in the trucks. Light is appearing out of nowhere. When you pay attention to the details, you will see them group stalking in an unnatural environment where the sun is rising and setting. You will see right now shadows on both sides of their persons. These are demons who are pacing. Shadows are on both sides. Shadows appearing upright on the truck and appearing on both their left and right. They're pacing around this truck. They're monitoring. This is what group stalking is. And right now they're engaging in it while it's occurring in the private space. CAL FIRE is going to be prosecuted as a domestic terrorist. This is the basis for removal from any and every terrorist organization that masquerade as police departments, sheriff's departments, fire departments. These are the demons that engage in criminal summoning. These are the demons that engage in terrorism via group stalking, via helicopter. And they wear badges representing, masquerading as legitimate agencies, departments in the state. Okay, this is exposing what's wrong with Joe Tyler. Okay, this is exactly what I documented when I'm in the parking lot. And it's not a coincidence in this environment, which is entirely demonic. It's a scientific impossibility. And it's also the same light activity that you see when the fake sun is over my window in the middle of the day, and you see no explanation as to why this same exact light activity is occurring on this wall where the fake sun is seen being directly over the top of my head in the middle of the day. It's the same pattern of light activity. And it's impossible light activity. And while a demon is crossing that is driving by, that's no explanation for what was dynamic light. That's demons who are group stalking. It's the same exact pattern. Okay, you saw another department engaging in the same pattern. Their name is called the Los Angeles Police Department. That was group stalking with the Los Angeles Fire Department. Okay, this is CAL FIRE that's group stalking in Hesperia, California, with the people of the state. It's not just these demons that are at Holiday Inn that are going to federal prison. This is demonic. This is light activity, and all of the entity, including the 76 gas station, are prosecuted being group stalking civilly and criminally for state surveillance and federal stalking with the state. That's what CAL FIRE represents. Okay, engaging in what is terrorism by utilizing the smoke alarm. That's terrorism. It's the elements of monitoring, and it is the great grounds to which the entity resorts to engage in the elements of monitoring. All right, that's an emergency tactic, if you will, not no pun intended with regard to their use of literally an emergency alarm while they're engaging in what is an act of an emergency. I immediately began recording the news showing you a fake sun over them in Inglewood over the SoFi Stadium. And you're seeing in my documentation the evidence of the impossible that the sun would ever rise and set at one address. And while it's here over me at this hotel, even during the middle of the day, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, you see the fake sun out this window over my head at the entrance. You see it over my head through the windshield of the vehicles in this parking lot. It is nowhere going to, there's only one sun, not 14, and it's not going to be over the SoFi Stadium in Inglewood. And also while it's remaining here, which is what I've documented for the prosecution of the state, including demons affiliated with CAL FIRE. This is one that's going out of his way to while the demon's engaging in light activity. His shadow is behind him and in front of him. This is a demon, okay? And he's group stalking, actually. He's focused on me. Light activity from behind. And this is light activity while a demon with a communication device is going and exposing himself is just a means of being a gross demon, as though he's ignorant of the fact that he's being taped, and he's not. And you know that because of the light activity and because this is where the sun rises and sets, okay? CAL FIRE, I want to be clear, what they are demonstrating to you, what the world is witnessing is how CAL FIRE, that's how they feel about your constitutional rights. Okay, they're essentially disposing themselves on your constitutional rights. They're hostile to them while they engage in the pattern of conduct with the people of the state. All right, this is demonic pacing. And this is the ongoing elements of monitoring while impossible light activity, which has nothing to do with any street lamps. And driving by in this manner, like that, will never create any flashing of light inside of my hotel room, in the same way that none of these street lamps creates any sort of multiple shadows. It's impossible to explain this light activity inside of my hotel room based on the street lamp that's here, where this demon is crossing path to pull out his genitalia and engage in monitoring. That's also relevant for what is a sex offender. His shadow is in front of him and behind him, and he used that as a means of group stalking. That is speaking to the closeted sex offenders, the closeted psychopaths, the closeted group stalkers that are going to the extent to engage in monitoring an American citizen. That is a woman in a hotel room with knowledge of the fact that it was already published online. He has perpendicular shadows while he pulled out his genitalia to engage in group stalking someone, because that's what you need to be mindful of. You just saw the elements of monitoring, and the impossible light activity, that is street lamp, is going to create a shadow in front of you and behind you, in front of you and beside you. It only creates one shadow, and it's also impossible light activity that you're seeing here. So that was group stalking. That was a means of relevant positioning. And it's with the entity that's facilitating that flashing of light. That's a demon. That's light activity in the engineered environment. Okay, crossing a path and the flashing of light inside of this hotel room while that other demon was group stalking, driving in the parking lot. And the entity sounding the alarms while they're out here group stalking in the parking lot, group stalking by staying at the hotel. And my one hand has multiple shadows, and you're looking at demons that are going to be prosecuted. This is indeed the state. They are exposing what every single other, what every other single department, that is every police department, every sheriff's department, every other fire department, are indeed engaging in. Okay, that's POC. All right, it is currently, again, 4:31 a.m. This is what the entity was doing. They were group stalking in the hallways, stalking with noise while I'm in my bed. Days ago, while CAL FIRE was also group stalking, I went in the parking lot, got everybody's license plate, because they're all going to federal prison, and they are going to federal prison as well. This is called impunity while they're group stalking with the people. The alarm's going off. This is a demon that's also group stalking. Light activity is never going to result like the other demon that crossed path while they were in the parking lot. That's called impossible light activity. That's how you know that that's not random conduct. It's very specific. And you also know that it's specific because of this light activity. And it's also the exact same light activity that happens under a fake sun that remains over this address all day long. And CAL FIRE, while you're hearing the alarm, being used, it's not a malfunction. It's not an accident. It's what happened during a hailstorm yesterday while the entity was reporting high record heat under a light source over the SoFi Stadium, where the entity keeps the fake sun over this venue, which is what I captured during 10 o'clock in the morning. When you saw that sex offender group stalking at room 303, crossing path in this hallway, the fake sun was over the hallway window, impossible light like it is every day, remaining every day. And the moment I began publishing videos on the fake sun disappeared and a very loud hailstorm began, which I published on podcast. And you saw Jose speaking to the fact that the fire alarm went off because of the hailstorm. Okay, that was the elements of monitoring. In the same way as I began capturing video of the people of the state reporting the news, providing evidence against the state of California, and doing so while I am showing you the impossible that the sun is going to be over the SoFi Stadium, while it remains over the Hesperia 9750 key point where the state of California CAL FIRE is group stalking. This is demonic pacing, light activity, and while the entity uses the alarm system, that's also the elements of monitoring that CAL FIRE is group stalking too. This is the entity, the demon-possessed entity that is summoned when fire alarms go off. They're fully engaged in criminal summoning. That's why everybody's also going to federal prison. The entity is doing so while federal stalking is underway. As I'm capturing video of evidence that the entity is aware of, immediately the alarm goes off. That's the emergency, not a legitimate emergency regarding any fire or smoke. But I want to be clear, where federal group stalking and monitoring is underway, that too is used as the means to engage in monitoring group stalking as opposed to the lawful and appropriate, nor is it superseding the criminal pattern of conduct that any American citizen is subject to. Okay, I want to make sure that you understand what you witnessed. You witnessed what is sexual violence and what is the true sentiments that the state of California has towards your constitutional rights, using the elements of monitoring, having double shadows to come in alignment to the path, to pull out their genitalia and appear as though they're focused on relieving themselves when they're actually group stalking. I need you to recognize that malice. And that's Satan, and that's what CAL FIRE, that's actually how they feel about the Constitution. These are domestic terrorists, and they're group stalking on video, and you are looking at the same exact conduct where the entity was stalking day and night in helicopters under a fake sun. This is the same light activity that was on the ceiling inside of my apartment in Alvarado Gardens. It's the light activity that's happening during the day, the light activity that's happening at night, where you're understanding what is demonic activity. And CAL FIRE, these employees, federal prison, okay? And the employees of a Holiday Inn, federal prison. And these cockroaches are in light activity that they were pacing all around with shadows on both sides of their person, even going to the extent to pull out their genitalia while they're group stalking, because that's exactly what they're doing. Coming out of the hotel to engage in group stalking, loitering in relevant position, and doing so while they know what's being documented. While I'm capturing a snippet of the news showing the evidence of a specific environment that does not coexist with what is a fake sun remaining over this hotel, rising and setting at this hotel. The entity that's engaged in corporate invasion of privacy, again, Title 18 criminal conduct sounds the alarm, which is the elements of monitoring, which happens to be occurring while the state is stalking at the hotel. Okay, it is currently, again, 4:35 a.m. I just want to make sure that all of that is understood. This is the evidence of demon possession. And it doesn't matter that that's the state with regard to exposing what demon possession is, what it behaves like, what it looks like, the environment that it's occurring in. You're understanding the criminal activity by the demon possessed. The demon possessed are CAL FIRE. Everybody affiliated with this department, the demon that is over. That's also how you know the condition of one that's over a department that's engaging in a statewide pattern of conduct. That is demonic, and that is Joe Tyler, who was specifically documented, which this entity is aware of when CAL FIRE has returned another day, to engage in sexual violence, to engage in unconstitutional and criminal engagement in what is surveillance with the state. And every police department, as the entity starts sounding the alarm as I speak the truth, every police department, every sheriff's department, every fire department is engaged in this same exact pattern of conduct. CAL FIRE came and provided the ongoing evidence showing how there is no discrimination with regard to whatever that demon's department or employee, agency, whatever it is, whatever official capacity with the state that's engaged in the criminal pattern of conduct. There is no exception. These are demons. All right, their shadows are appearing not only on the walls, their shadows are appearing on the floors. They have multiple shadows while they're engaging in what is demonic pacing. All right, walking about, that's achieving the monitoring. Understand what monitoring, this is how you're group stalking in a jail. This is how you're group stalking when you're remaining in one room. It's not a matter of based on where a demon is claiming to belong. This is based on the elements of monitoring. That's where gang stalking is happening. Gang stalking is happening in the specific environment. Demons are not hiding. They are exposed when they are working at the specific environment. You will be prosecuted. You are going to federal prison for group stalking where you work, for group stalking in any official position, which is the intolerable threat posed by the state. Because that's what they were doing in the parking lot. You saw group stalking by the state of California, and they're doing so in a private space. So I want you to look at the video again of the news of the people of the state and the fake sun over the SoFi Stadium, because that's the environment while shadows are appearing on the ground and on both sides of them while they're pacing, walking behind the truck, walking in front of the truck. These are demons that are pacing. This is what they're doing, pacing. And they're monitoring while the light surrounds me. Impossible light activity. So I want you to see that impossible light activity surrounds while they are pacing in a parking lot. The entity is providing supplemental activity. This is a demon at 76. That's called light activity. There's always a method of flashing of light in what is an abnormal environment. The engineered light, the flashing of light amongst the engineered environment is the demonic activity in concert with the people, using the alarms, the sounding the alarm, which is light activity and audible activity, and all of the hostile and sexually perverted people of the state are group stalking with CAL FIRE. Okay, this is, again, evidence of the criminal activity in California. Pacing. Pay attention to their shadows, because you're looking at impossible light activity. This is how they're accomplishing the elements of monitoring, which are demons who are pacing around. That's what group stalking is, and it's criminal. They're engaged in federal stalking and criminal surveillance, and this is also going to be prosecuted as the impunity with which the entity engages in the pattern of conduct, acting with a criminal purpose, doing so with the people of the state, which is the basis for their federal imprisonment, and they're also doing so while a specific actor, Joe Tyler, has already been exposed, and this is going to be, again, the basis of putting a lot of people in federal prison. situation. For example, when a police chief has been specifically documented, which by virtue of being in that city, being in that county, and being gang stalked by any police department, you are specifying a very specific threat, which no police chief will walk away free in communicating at all, expressly or impliedly, by any group stalking by that terrorist organization. And the specific environment is the direct evidence of group stalking. There is no natural environment. There is no multiple shadows appearing on both sides of my person caused by any street lamps in the parking lot, none of them creating any of their shadows in front of them or behind them. That's impossible light activity by demons who are group stalking at the venue where the sun rises and sets, when I'm looking at the news of the evidence of a light source over them in SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California, and they're reporting a record heat while the entity had a midday hailstorm. While I'm publishing evidence online, they're pacing. Look at the shadow of his and look at his on the side of the truck. There's shadows on opposing sides of their bodies. These are demons who are group stalking. Okay, and these are psychopaths who are altogether aware of what I'm stating about them while they're group stalking. This is exposing the state of California. So this is providence for you. You're also witnessing what's going to be prosecuted as sexual violence by the state, as impunity by the state, mental illness being diagnosed while the state engages in the demonic pattern of conduct, the malice, the viciousness that the entity engages in and employs while group stalking with the constituents of the state and engaging in federal stalking. Look at the shadows on the ground and in front of them and to the right, pacing back and forth. Walking to the front, to the back, opening and closing the doors, walking behind the vehicles, walking on two bodies, walking behind, one walking in front. These are demons that are together pacing all around. These are psychopaths. This is what they're doing, pacing back and forth. This is what Satan is doing in the specific environment. That's group stalking. Group stalking is only engaged in by demons, and the world needs to recognize demonic activity, demon possession, criminal conduct is synonymous with CAL FIRE. And Holiday Inn will be prosecuted criminal facilitation by way of using the alarm while they're engaged in federal stalking, aware of exactly what I'm doing on my phone in the specific environment. That's how you're aware of that specific. And the absence of any coincidence. When a hailstorm is being documented, when evidence is being published onto the internet, the smoke alarm goes off, which creates elements of monitoring. And when I'm capturing the news regarding evidence against all of this entity, the smoke alarm goes off. And it just so happens to be the state is present directly, group stalking. All right. 76 is going to be prosecuted. They're already on the map. They're engaged in 24-hour surveillance. They're engaged in federal stalking. They're engaged in ongoing ceaseless criminal facilitation, not the relevant, not a lawful business underway. The same for Motel 6, the same for the 7-Eleven, the same for the Farmer Boys, the Baker's Restaurant. I even went to these venues and showed you the fake sun over my head while I'm at these venues during the day. Whereas when I remain inside of the hotel, which is in conformity to the P.O.C, which is in conformity to living and working at Alvarado Gardens, non-movement of the fake sun, but it's not in conformity to nature where the sun would ever be over any of these venues when it is captured as a matter of direct evidence. That is a matter of insurmountable evidence showing you what CAL FIRE is, a bunch of demons who are group stalkers, and that are engaging in what is stalking under a fake sun. That's recognizing what is demonic, and group stalking is demonic. Okay, so I just want to make sure that you're aware of that. You're looking at their shadows that are perpendicular on both sides of their person while they're moving all around their pacing. See the lighter version of their shadow here and the darker versions of their shadows on the opposite side. Using the vehicles as light activity, they are monitoring. That's light activity. They are exhibiting demon possession. That's P.O.C. All right. The alarm is also used as a means of the elements of monitoring. You're looking at the light activity that has nothing to do with the street lamps above them. Their shadows are going in all manner of different directions. Okay. While they're standing around in a circle, this is a demonic posture. These demons are congregating while they're group stalking and they're focused on someone else. That's also revealing the mind state of demons who are targeting you. This is what they were doing while the truck in the parking lot yesterday evening was crossing path. And you will see, as I pointed out in the video, light just manifesting out of nowhere, not the result of the street lamps that are in the parking lot. They were congregated in a circle just like this, and they are right now with multiple shadows on both sides of their person. Pay attention, in front and behind. This is for purposes of group stalking, and these are demons that are pacing, and they are engaging in what is stalking with activity creation in the specific environment. Group stalking with the people of the state. That's how you know that they're demons that are group stalking, as opposed to someone like myself who is not demon possessed, who is showing you the behavioral patterns of the demons who are group stalking. Remember, it's the engineered environment and the demonic behavioral pattern that equals demon possession and criminal activity, which is group stalking. Okay, they will not be just present in the specific environment. They will engage in the demonic behavioral patterns in that specific environment. Okay, Holiday Inn is going to be prosecuted. They're not even going to last. I'm gonna let you know that right now. They're engaging in what is very high level facilitation and this level of desperation, which you are seeing personified through the use of a smoke alarm when there is no fire. Okay, just like there was no fire when the hailstorm was occurring at 1 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday. Light activity.
Light activity. While the elements using the fire alarm are going off, they're monitoring. They're group stalking. And so is everybody inside of the hotel. They're all group stalking together, and they listen to me tell you about how demons behave, and they use the alarm, and it's not out. You're listening to the elements of monitoring. You're not being distracted. This is how Satan operates. This is showing the mental illness. Jess is going to federal prison. Marlene's going to federal prison. AJ is going to federal prison. Jennifer is going to federal prison. Carlos is going to federal prison. Juliana is going to federal prison. Rosanna is going to federal prison. Those are just some of the employees who have documented, and they're going to federal prison while I capture this video of the state present at the hotel while the entity is using the smoke alarm as a means of facilitation, while I'm breaking down to you the demonic behavioral pattern that's occurring in the demonic environment, which is the direct evidence of a prosecution under natural law while demonic activity showing criminal conduct is underway. They are congregated in a circle and their shadows are going in both directions of their person, which is not the result of street lamps. While, by the way, you're seeing the shadows that are occurring on both sides of my person. Okay, so this video is combined with the previous video that stopped. The entity is monitoring on my cell phone, which CAL FIRE is going to be prosecuted for. This is directly pointing to Joe Tyler. So the entity engages in criminal conduct. The entity engages in demonic conduct. And understand the nature of this. This is satanic, and this is pointing to what is a condition of all of those that are in that department that are engaging in criminal conduct. Repeatedly going off. You're going to pay attention to the moments that the alarms go off. This is revealing, also pointing out to you the patterns of the entity that's engaged in corporate invasion of privacy, engaged in ongoing obsessive group stalking. Look at the shadows on both sides. On both sides of their person, that's impossible light activity, not the result upright on the truck, also on the ground on both sides of the person, not the result of what is walking on the side of the truck where you're going to have a shadow. That's not going to create a shade, and also the light. They're engaging in communicating a threat while they're exhibiting demon possession, pacing all around in the engineered light, while Holiday Inn provides an ongoing criminal basis of facilitation. So them walking opposite directions, and they have multiple shadows on both sides of their person, moving across the truck and moving on the ground. Impossible lighting to be walking in opposite directions. That's the pacing. Satan is using all of their bodies together to accomplish the demonic pacing. Psychopathic conduct, the mental illness is designed to be concealed, and it's not. Impossible light activity occurs in my room while demons are driving by in the parking lot. Meaning flashing of light, which you saw the LAPD engage in. It's heavily documented in my apartment in Los Angeles. It's heavily documented while the people of the state are group stalking in traffic. It's heavily documented when I go to the DMV and when I go to any venue. And impossible light activity, as impossible as this. All right, you've seen dynamic flashing of light activity. This is what the entity is doing, group stalking in this environment, walking with shadows in front and behind. That's group stalking. The shadow in front, and now it's to the side and behind, running across the truck and in front, having nothing to do with the street lamp. And monitoring on my phone. A psychopath is group stalking while coming to cross path with me and engineer light while they are engaging what is a method of group stalking. And you're supposed to believe that they're ignorant because they're relieving themselves. And you're understanding what is the elements of group stalking. So doing so in the most vulgar and in the most perverted manner to engage in group stalking with double shadows, okay, with light activity, with the inexplicable use and criminal misuse of the smoke alarm system to group stalk with the state. Because a bunch of demons are hostile to me, letting you know about their code of conduct, about the environment that you're paying attention to. It's not just the fact that they're in the environment, it's their behavior, which is exhibiting demon possession, stalking with activity creation, molesting and crossing path in the with the impossible light activity. The ongoing criminal conduct is achieving group stalking. Their shadows go from being in front of their person and behind to this being perpendicular, being in front and to the side. That's group stalking while they're pacing all around. All right, so I want to make sure that you're aware of this. This is called the specific environment, and this is where the fake sun rises and sets. And there's no way that the sun is going to be over the SoFi Stadium, which is what I captured on the news. As I begin capturing that video, the entity begins using the alarm inside of the hotel room. And this alarm was also used during a hailstorm yesterday, where there is no fire, no smoke. The only emergency is the fact that I'm documenting the pattern of conduct, which when you're engaged in corporate invasion of privacy, federal stalking, when you are a hostile entity, a demon-possessed one that's hostile to its exposure and its criminal prosecution, which is inevitable, the entity engages in such acts of terrorism and harassment, because that's what the use of the smoke alarm equals, while they're group stalking with the state. And this is the highest threat. CAL FIRE engaging in what is the misuse, abuse of authority under the Welfare and Institutions Code. This is reasonably construed of a threat to engage in what is kidnapping. And this is what the ordinary target individual is subject to while they're group stalking literally with the people of the state. This is a demon in the background, a group stalking on the opposite side of the brick wall. The entity is engaging in what is elements of monitoring with the people of the state, and also facilitating it by using the smoke alarm inside of the building, okay? Remember what the smoke alarm equals: light activity and massive amplified audible activity, which a whole population is group stalking to. They're all group stalking to that, all right? So this is the demon that's using their headlights. They're walking in front. This is demonic. That's a demon, and they're group stalking together. Okay, so recall the documentation when you saw the homeless demons that were concentrating presence in the front, and they were walking by with the flashlight, walking by with the cell phone, which was another method of light. And as I pointed that out, with simultaneity, a demon driving in the driveway, which is still alignment in the path, and the flashing of light. It's occurring in the specific environment. It's occurring where you're also seeing the sun rising and setting. This is what CAL FIRE is exhibiting right now while they're group stalking with the people of the state. They're all engaged in what is method of light activity. It's occurring inside of this hotel. They're pacing all around. They're creating light activity while their shadows are on both sides of their person. And the people of the state who are group stalking using a flashlight, using their headlights, walking through that light that they're creating light activity, they're group stalking together. So I just want to point that out. But this is the entity that is engaging, exhibiting demon possession. And that is a legally disqualification. Understanding what demon possession is and the criminal conduct of the demon possessed, it is a legal basis for disqualification from fire departments, from police departments, from sheriff's departments. The demon possessed are domestic terrorists. They are engaged in Satan's surveillance system. And it is legally relevant that the government is employing demonic methods of criminal surveillance. And this is exactly what CAL FIRE is engaging in with the people of the state, who is a holiday inn, not a legitimate business. Okay. And while this demon is moving, the shadow is against the brick wall. And also the shadow is on the wall, moving from side to side. Remember, on his right side along the brick wall, while he walks by the truck, it is then on the opposite side of his person to appear on the side of that truck. That's light activity, and impossible light activity has nothing to do with the street lamps. Okay, just like the light activity inside of my room has nothing to do with the street lamps. They're engaging in what is demonic pacing and light activity creation while they walk around vehicles, and they are group stalking while I'm physically indisposed in my bed using my cell phone, I happen to be capturing evidence, and the entity immediately begins sounding the alarm. Repeatedly sounding the alarm is repeated acts of criminal conduct, not the creation of any legitimate emergency which doesn't exist in the specific environment. The entity, as you see the state group stalking, are the malicious guise under which the elements of monitoring are always continuous. Okay, and they engage in abusing such devices such as the alarm system to show what is knowledge about what the entity is doing on a communication device while it's group stalking you and surveilling you. It's evidence against the entity that's group stalking, engaging in criminal summoning with the demons who are the people of the state who are group stalking you. And these are psychopaths, and all they're doing is pacing around, having multiple shadows and doing so. Shadows that are appearing and disappearing when they're walking around, appearing in front of them and then appearing behind them, appearing on the side of them. You're watching them change in size. This is the light activity you're paying attention to, and their demonic behaviors. The simultaneity of conduct. The group stalking of the people of the state is the group stalking of the state. CAL FIRE literally just came here and demonstrated it for you. Okay? It is again 4:51 a.m. and the entity is group stalking in this specific environment, and my cell phone turning on and off, capturing more than one video, is the product of criminal activity, not a malfunction of my phone, which again, the state is also going to be prosecuted for. All right, remember, I'm advocating and speaking on behalf of the ordinary target individual who is subject to this level of criminal activity. The entity is going above and beyond with regard to the ordinary target individual as well, which I have been subject to: harassment by the entity, criminal summoning by the entity, false allegations by the entity, because they're psychopaths and sex offenders who don't want you to expose the fact that they're psychopaths and sex offenders, which is the product of a psychopath and a sex offender. And you're looking at a psychopath that's pacing. And you know that it's pacing because of the engineer light, because of the multiple shadows, and because of the fact that this is where the fake sun rises and sets. This is what demons are doing, pacing. And you can see that shadow in front, to the side, but three of them all around this person. And they're walking back and forth. That's pacing. That's how you're recognizing that. And the shadows disappeared. Now there's just one. That has nothing with the street lamps. And the street lamps are not the explanation for this demonic light activity inside of my room. And again, while the demons who are the people of the state are driving in the parking lot, all right, they're engaging in group stalking together, which is what 76 is engaged in criminal facilitation. So I want to reiterate this because my video turning on and off, my restarting the video while I'm pointing out very damning evidence regarding the behaviors, for your information, regarding the behaviors of demons. It's their demonic behavior in the demonic environment, and you're able to recognize demon possession.
Okay, because I am in the demonic environment, I'm pointing out to you what is humanly, naturally impossible to occur. A sunrise and a sunset at the same address, and multiple shadows surrounding your person under what's supposed to be just a normal light. You could buy it from any grocery store or Lowe's, Walmart, wherever you special order. Light does not create this light activity. It doesn't create your shadow in the shade. It doesn't create your upright shadow at a distance away from you. Let me show you this up close. So you can, that it doesn't create this light activity while I'm also inside of the building, looking at the source, the so-called source of light. That's not the source of light. You're looking at what Satan is doing in an environment amongst Satan's demons who are group stalking you. And the integral aspect of group stalking is engineered light, and Satan seeks to hide himself in the environment and amongst people who are demon possessed, who are stalking you, group stalking you in that unengineered environment. You're recognizing the demonic behavioral patterns, the stalking with activity, whatever the means of that stalking with activity is. For instance, the smoke alarm is a means of stalking with activity. The moment I begin recording video of what is the light source over SoFi Stadium in LA, immediately the smoke alarm goes off. And this is where the fake sun is rising and setting. That is 12 plus hours of a light source, which is not the sun. And this is also the demonic behaviors. And you can see the impossible light activity while these same demons are group stalking in the parking lot while I was in their presence physically. They are group stalking me while I'm inside of the hotel room, and you're looking at the impossible light activity. All right. And they maintain, I also want to point out the fact that that's a vulgar aspect of the pattern of conduct, showing you what are desperate acts and what is also psychotic and very disturbing and perverted. Demon that's group stalking goes to the extent to cross path and get in alignment with me, group stalking, with the rest of the people, pulling out his genitalia to engage in group stalking. It's not about relieving himself. That was a demon that was group stalking, doing so in the most vulgar manner, which the entity, again, Satan is thinking in its mind that that's something that suggests ignorance about being on tape, which is supposed to suggest that they're not group stalking. And that's not what controls the evidence and prosecuting group stalking. It's controlled by the specific environment. All right. And there's nothing about the light activity while they're pacing all around, because that's what that is. It's not walking. They're pacing with multiple shadows. They're pacing while the elements of monitoring are maintained by the people of the state. They're pacing while flashing engineer light is occurring. You've also seen it during the day under the fake sun. It's what's occurring at night while demons that are the people of the state are group stalking with them, turning on their headlights, walking around with the flashlight in the specific environment is the people of the state group stalking with them, and using the smoke alarm is the basis of federal prosecution. All of Holiday and the employees are going to federal prison. Okay, it is again what is 4:55 a.m. You're going to look at all the videos that I captured, the entity monitoring on my phone, not a malfunction, and I'm not pressing pause or stop. You're going to look at all of them together as I'm going through an ongoing consistent analysis exposing demon possession as the state of California demonstrated it, CAL FIRE. It's also legally relevant for the prosecution of federal group stalking and monitoring, facilitation of federal group stalking and monitoring, federal stalking under Title 18, Section 2261A, subsections 1 and 2. It's also legally relevant with regard to posing an impermissible threat after the point where an American citizen has begun documenting the pattern of conduct that a government conspiring to murder and kidnap them is criminally surveilling them through the state, which is what CAL FIRE represents, and the people of the state, which is what the demons who are the people of the state, including employees like the Holiday Inn employees, using things such as a smoke alarm to maintain the elements of monitoring while they're doing so with the demons that are all around the property where they're group stalking with the rest of them, where the fake sun is rising and setting. Everybody around is group stalking that American citizen as well. The entity is engaging in what is a legally relevant and impermissible threat at the point at which it is surveilling the documentation of its criminal activity, which again, CAL FIRE is fully engaged in. That's the malice and the impunity that is intolerable, and it will be directly addressed with regard to the enhancement to federal charges and punishment. The entity is engaged in what is corporate invasion of privacy. The entity is engaged in what is a molestation, an ongoing perpetual sex offense, not only by monitoring an American citizen in a private space, but also by molesting the person. This is a molestation. It's not naturally happen. It's not. This is an unlawful touching with engineered light for your criminal purposes of group stalking. You're going to be prosecuted as a sex offense for an ongoing molestation of directed light where demons are group stalking you. And that's not only the state, that's also the people of the state. And Holiday Inn in particular is going to be subject to a very specific civil suit with regard to recovery for the terrorism, the sexual violence, the corporate invasion of privacy, the criminal facilitation, as I'm speaking to federal charges. CAL FIRE is also, this is also relevant to RICO charges that the corrupt department is engaging in and masquerading as a legitimate fire department when they're engaged in domestic terrorism. And these are the same demons who are engaged in this criminal conduct, who are exhibiting demon possession, who are engaging in criminal conduct as I'm capturing this video. This is criminal. This is surveillance. This is how an entity that's stalking in the sky space, that's stalking with
with the population that's engaging in federal stalking online, that's surveillance online, maintains the elements while they're group stalking in the parking lot. This walking around in the engineer light accomplishes the elements of monitoring. Okay, the entity is doing so in concert with the people who are using things such as the smoke alarm in this building where there's no fire and there is no smoke. Neither was there any smoke or fire during the hailstorm, which I documented on podcasts. I want to make sure that you're understanding this because this is exactly how the state, which is what CAL FIRE represents, is going to be prosecuted. CAL FIRE is not acting by themselves. The state group stalks with the people of the state. CAL FIRE is exhibiting nothing other than demon possession and the ways in which the government itself, which government actors such as CAL FIRE demonstrate, how they group stalk with the people of the state who also don't have any lawful right whatsoever to engage in what is keeping an American citizen under surveillance. They do so by group stalking with methods of light activity. That's what this is. All right. And driving in the parking lot will never create any flashing of light inside of my hotel room. And during the day, when you can see the fake sun through the windshields of vehicles that are group stalking in the same manner, that's how they're engaging in light activity, group stalking. It's occurring at nightfall. That's demonic pacing while a vehicle drives on the street, and the demon remains in alignment driving out the driveway. And this is light activity. Demons engaging in a method of light activity creation in the engineered environment. Okay, all while you see the light activity inside of my hotel room. Okay, this is exposing for the world, recognizing what is demonic, what the demonic looks like, and it doesn't matter that they happen to be a part of any agency which the entity is assuming you're going to dismiss or disregard because they happen to be a part of the government. So that's totally irrelevant with regard to demon possession. Secondly, the state of California is literally going to be prosecuted for this criminal conduct that CAL FIRE is engaging in on behalf of the whole state. All right, and it is a sex offense. It is 4:59 a.m. This is P.O.C. I want you to again see. That's called stalking with activity. All right, this is the light activity that's occurring on one side, and here it is on the opposite side. All right, and CAL FIRE is group stalking and monitoring while the elements using a smoke alarm inside of this venue where you're looking at the impossible light activity. There's only one window, and you're seeing the window repeatedly appearing on all of the walls into the back of the hotel room, which is an impossible occurrence. It's not, in other words, it's not really, okay? This is my shadow at the very back of the hotel, okay? That's impossible to use alarm, which it started doing as I began capturing evidence against the people of the state, showing the fake sun over the SoFi Stadium when I am every day showing the fake sun over this hotel from rise until set in alignment with me. That's not over the SoFi Stadium. There's only one sun, not 14. All right. And the entity is keeping a fake sun over this hotel where the entity is now at nightfall as a means of also stalking with activity while federal stalking is underway and a bunch of demons are pacing all around at the 76, at the Motel 6 parking lot, group stalking in the parking lot using a flashlight, using a headlight. That's what this demon is doing on the opposite side of the brick wall. And these are demons that are group stalking. They're engaging, congregating. All right, they're engaging, congregating with light activity, moving around as they engage in demonic pacing while the entity uses the smoke alarm. As I began, again, stalking with activity, as I engaged in new movement looking this way, that's how you're recognizing the demonic behaviors in the specific environment, which is demonic. They're group stalking. They're a bunch of demons. And CAL FIRE demonstrated it themselves in the video that I captured yesterday evening. And they did so with knowledge anticipating my arrival. All right, and you know all of this through the specific environment. The knowledge that the demons maintain while they're group stalking you. They're group stalking someone that happens to be prosecuting them. So I'm giving you a tutorial about the demon-possessed mind state and the criminal intent behind what they do as they do it and all that they reasonably know and understand as they do it. And every decision that they make is relevant to additional federal charges. And CAL FIRE is not helping Holiday Inn. They're going to federal prison while they're group stalking with the state. They're going to be subject to civil damages while they're group stalking with the state. And CAL FIRE themselves, you're talking about going to federal prison themselves. All right. Look at the shadow behind and the shadow on the truck. That has nothing to do with the street lamp. Okay. In fact, under the street lamp, a shadow would be appearing on the ground, only to the side along the truck, not the one that's appearing behind it. And walking toward the door and walking back behind is demonic pacing. That's a demon. All right. And they're group stalking. This is revealing the mind state. Only a psychopath engaged in this sort of conduct where you're not supposed to be aware of the fact that they're targeting you through their conduct, through their activity, what they're engaging in. You're not supposed to be aware, for example, of a fake sun that's over you when you're looking at somebody just walking up to a vehicle and then walking back around. That's demonic pacing. One person can accomplish that by walking back and forth. A group of demons accomplish it by walking all around like a bunch of cockroaches in the engineer light, and they're together pacing. This is what the entity does in helicopters in the sky space under a fake sun. This is what the people of the state are doing on the freeway. It's not traffic. It's demons who are pacing while the fake sun remains over me. And what you're seeing at nightfall, engineer light is surrounding, using the smoke alarm, stalking with activity. All right. I want to repeat it again because this is what the entity is engaging in. And this is enriching and educational material with regard to the prosecution for the satanic system that CAL FIRE, which represents the state of California. Okay, every terrorist organization, they're masquerading as police departments, they're masquerading as fire departments, they're masquerading as EMTs that are operating ambulances who are connected to hospitals where demons, sex offenders, psychopaths are affiliated with hospitals. And this is putting American citizens' lives at risk. They serve Satan. This is demonic. And it's criminal. It's criminal at that. And this is what Satan does not want you to know is underway. Satan does not want you to know who his servants are. And I want to be clear, it includes CAL FIRE. Up to and including Joe Tyler, okay, over the California Forestry and Fire Protection, the director, fire chief, that demon's name, that is a demon is synonymous with defendant, synonymous with what is group stalker, synonymous with what is a criminal, a malicious one. The state of California is filled with demons, and this pattern of conduct that it is impossible to emulate and mirror accidentally or coincidentally. All right, that is the demonic behavioral pattern in the demonic environment. That's a pattern of conduct that Joe Tyler engaged in. All right, this is exposing what is another corrupt government actor to be removed from the position that they hold. It is a threat to the public while they maintain that dangerous and corrupt position of leadership where demons under his tutelage, under his leadership are engaging in state surveillance. The public, which is what Holiday Inn represents, who has no constitutional rights whatsoever to engage in criminal surveillance. That's what this light activity shows. This light activity shows criminal surveillance. Remember, it's not just the light activity that's present. It's the demonic behavioral patterns of the employees and the demons who are the people of the state, both at the hotel, working at the hotel, and surrounding the hotel. That's the intent, to engage in the demonic system. You're not ignorantly engaging in the pattern of conduct. And the latter, as I'm showing you, all the heights of hypocrisy, exposing those who are in service to Satan, and that is including Joe Tyler. Okay, it is currently again 5:05, where the entity is just intermittently sounding the alarm, which is a means of elements of monitoring. And it began as I captured video on television where the entity is showing the fake sun over the SoFi Stadium. And that doesn't coexist with what is at the same time remaining over the Holiday Inn at 9750 Key Point. It doesn't coexist. There's only one sun. And that one sun, while it's over my head and in alignment to me in Hesperia at this hotel, even in alignment with my window, and during the day showing this same exact light activity, the panels of the window through the depths of this hotel, both early in the morning until the afternoon, into the evening, there's no sun over the SoFi Stadium. That's a light source. And also the entity, while it was hot, the entity had a rapid and rapidly disappearing hailstorm at the same time that I was publishing video evidence online. And the reason why I'm repeating that again is because the entity is monitoring on my phone, going to look at all the series of videos that I captured together. This is the prosecution while the entity is misusing the alarm for the elements of monitoring. All right. And this is nothing other than what is loitering in relevant position. CAL FIRE is not free to be at a crime scene to engage in state surveillance, because this is what it is. They're not free as the state, because that's what they represent. And they're also not free as the people of the state, which is what Holiday Inn. That's why they're going to federal prison, because none of them are free to engage in the elements of monitoring. This is criminal conduct. And as they misuse an alarm system to engage in the elements of monitoring, that's also terrorism, while demons engage in the elements of monitoring with knee-jerk reactions based on what I do as I do it. The elements of monitoring are underway, meaning a demon will arrive out of nowhere. That's relevant positioning, a method of light activity, audible activity occurring with simultaneity. That's demonic activity. The entity accomplished this by using the smoke alarm the moment that I began capturing video of the fake sun over the SoFi Stadium, as reported by the people of the state on the news. Okay, it is currently again 5:06 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, it is currently Monday, September 9th, 2024. It's 5:07 a.m. and I just got through capturing substantial video, which will be published to the Google Drive, and you will see the elements of monitoring. This is the pattern of conduct, and I want you to hear that because this is exactly what the entity began sounding, which was the alarm. At the moment that I began capturing video of the fake sun, which is over the SoFi Stadium, which I believe is in Inglewood, California, and you're looking at the evidence of the light source that not only the entity kept over the Alvarado Gardens apartments, not only that, it kept it over me in San Diego County at the Fairfield by Marriott. Literally outside of my window, I'm capturing the light source. It kept it over me while I literally was en route to Nevada and remaining in Nevada, where the sun was rising in alignment to me, and remaining while I'm in the state of Nevada, which is not coexisting at any point, being in Hesperia, over the hotel in Hesperia, over me in alignment to me in Hesperia. This is what the entity is doing while I'm capturing the news, showing the light source over the SoFi Stadium, which the people of the state are speaking of reported the record heat.
and the maintenance of that light source. And so when you're listening to right now, you will see on video, as I'm capturing that video, the entity immediately begins sounding the alarm. This is the same alarm that was going off during the hailstorm yesterday. And the entity that's engaged in the criminal pattern of conduct is speaking to a malfunction and error of the alarm. The entity is engaging in using this alarm during the 4 a.m. hour as I'm capturing this very damning video, which again, the entity that's engaged in federal stalking and is notably doing so with the state, that is the California Forestry and Fire Protection. The state of California is directly here group stalking with the people of the state while that iteration of the P.O.C. is being documented, and repeatedly using the alarms as a means of light activity, audible activity, and the people of the state are group stalking by maintaining presence, its relevant positioning, and its massive facilitation. Again, the employees, for example, are only one aspect of those you are automatically going to federal prison for this criminal system, this systematic facilitation and massive facilitation by using the alarm system to engage in what is actually stalking with activity. And you are aware of that context because this is where the fake sun rises and sets. And I'm capturing video of the fake sun over the SoFi Stadium, and the two are not happening at the same time. It's impossible. On the news, literally, they're capturing the light source over that stadium in, I believe it's Inglewood, as they stated. And I'm showing you for the duration of the day, the entity is keeping a fake sun seen through the entrance doors, reflecting from the Key Point Street angle of the hotel, reflecting, and I put that in air quotes, reflecting off of the window of the Motel 6 in the parking lot in order to aim impossible light activity directly on my person through the entrance doors, which I captured during the 6 a.m. hour. That's where the fake sun is rising, and the fake sun is both so high, it's appearing over the building to appear and reflect off of the building of the Motel 6, but it's also so low that it's aiming light activity underneath the covered structure of this entrance into the entrance doors, piercing all the way through to the back onto the hallway walls where I'm showing you my shadow as I stand inside of the building. This is where the demons are group stalking. That's the people of the state who are misusing an alarm system to engage in the elements of monitoring. And then psychopaths, the pattern of conduct by the demon possessed, they engage in more of that which is exposed of them because the entities are confusing the fact that innocence equals I'm going to continue robbing the bank because it looks like I'm not being caught doing anything wrong. And so you're going to relate my continuously engaging in what is criminal conduct with my being innocent and I'm not doing anything wrong. And you're supposed to look at clearly criminal conduct as innocent and ignorantly underway because they continuously engage in it. That's the logic of the demons who are group stalking by continuously using an alarm system to engage in the elements of monitoring. And the entity did so as literally on video as I woke up in the middle of the night, 4 a.m. and I began capturing this video and the alarm went off. And this is exactly what's going on when I'm publishing evidence on the venue of the internet yesterday, which was September 8, 2024. In the middle of the day, you see the fake sun as I captured during the 10 a.m. hour. The demons engaging in the ordinary conduct. They're engaging in ordinary group stalking every day, pacing up and down the hallway with the employees who are housekeeping. Those are demons group stalking together, and all around the fake sun over the hallway window, impossible light onto the ground on this third floor inside of this hotel. And at no point is the sun going to be over the SoFi Stadium when you're capturing that. In addition, while I'm capturing video and putting it onto the internet, immediately the fake sun, quote unquote, disappears, and there's a very loud, thunderous hailstorm, which I published onto my podcast yesterday. And you heard Jose providing an admission to use of an alarm system to engage in criminal facilitation and not a malfunction. There are no malfunctions and there's no accidents with regard to the elements of monitoring in the specific environment. This is what the entity is doing while it is engaged in federal stalking and criminal surveillance on the venue of the internet, while I'm capturing the light source over Inglewood, the SoFi Stadium in LA, when they're talking about record heat. And in Hesperia, you had essentially a 20 to 25 minute hailstorm that rapidly disappeared as I began capturing podcast evidence of it. Okay. This is under no circumstances deleting or removing the evidence that's already captured of a sunrise and sunset in alignment, remain, in other words, stationary presence at this hotel, where, by the way, Joe Tyler is being exposed as a corrupt leader and a demon-possessed one, while Cal Fire is group stalking with, as in the shoes of the state, with the people of the state who are in the shoes of the state as well. So you're looking at direct and vicarious criminal conduct of a demonic nature, which is relevant to the criminal and civil prosecution of Holiday Inn to be treated as a person under federal law, a person that's engaged in a sex offense, the perpetual sex offense, a person that's engaged in massive criminal facilitation, a person that's engaged in impunity. And they're all going to federal prison for it. And that's the use of an alarm where there there is no fire, there's no smoke, and there's also no malfunction. It's the elements of monitoring where the fake sun rises and sets, where my hotel room, as I captured on video, the impossible light activity that any street lamp will ever create, the window panels on every wall inside of this hotel. That's the demonic environment where the elements of monitoring are underway, and the demonic behavioral pattern, which is the evidence of group stalking. Demon-possessed group stalkers is what's being captured, while the smoke alarm is used as a means. So this is the context regarding what I'm going to capture, and the entity is repeatedly using the alarm as again, this is the mind state. The entity engages in more of that which is exposed about it, because the demon's mind state is that as they engage in more of it, it's supposed to rebut what's being reported about them. You know that they're demons, and that's evidence that's also nothing that you cannot forget and or delete or unsee the shadows above my head, the multiple shadows. It's the evidence of their demon possession and their group stalking conduct. You cannot unsee the fake sun at the one address that I remain. You cannot unsee the pattern of conduct that they're engaging in and what is not ignorantly occurring, the environment and the people who are around you. That's what group stalking is about, and exposing the condition of those, meaning demons who are group stalking, and it happens to be the state of California. So the entity engages in, which is relevant to terrorism. The entity engages in more of its criminal conduct, that is, the use of a smoke alarm to maintain elements of monitoring when it is reported. So you have this is what is alleged by Jose, providing an admission of the use of a smoke alarm for the criminal purpose of federal group stalking and monitoring, and there is no malfunction in the specific environment. It is criminal facilitation, while literally the demons of CAL FIRE are group stalking with them and repeatedly doing so at 5:15 a.m. Because of the fact that I pointed it out. And they did so starting with my video that I captured of the fake sun over the SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, which is not the sun that is also being staying here in Hesperia in alignment, rising in alignment to this hotel, aiming impossible light activity inside of this hotel in the morning, in the afternoon, and into the evening, where it's setting in alignment to my hotel room on the 3rd floor facing the Motel 6 parking lot. The same exact light activity is captured during this nightfall at 4 a.m. and you're supposed to I guess, not pay attention to what's clearly impossible, the fact that the window panels are lining all the walls inside of the hotel room. It's the same exact light activity during the day under the fake sun. So that's where you're recognizing the pattern. So then the context is the use of the smoke alarm system, and it's with regard to knowledge of what it is that I'm doing as I'm doing it, which demons employ with simultaneity to my conduct, the demon possessed. And this is which is going to be imputed to Holiday Inn, who will be civilly and criminally prosecuted as a corporate actor, but also literally the employees are going to federal prison, okay? While they're engaged in massive facilitation. Group stalking is a government system that's designed, the purpose of it is to conspire to murder and kidnap an American citizen. And this is what Holiday Inn is engaging in. This is what Holiday Inn is actually about. This is what Holiday Inn is profiting off of. And this is what Holiday Inn facilitates. This is what it supports. Okay. And this is what Holiday Inn, they don't have to admit it. They will never admit that, but they don't have to admit it. They're surrounded by the evidence of it. So I want to be clear. That's what the smoke alarm is about. The elements of monitoring in the specific environment, and initiating with my capturing video, which is going to be published on the Google Drive. And as I begin capturing this video, you will see the smoke alarm is when that's when that is initiated as the elements of monitoring are employed. That's the iteration of the P.O.C. That's, in other words, and as opposed to creating an isolated earthquake, the entity immediately uses the smoke alarm, smoke alarm system in the absence of any smoke, any flame or any smoke during the hailstorm. No flame, no smoke. All right. It's also the elements of monitoring while I'm publishing evidence about its criminal conduct. And yes, I am publishing evidence about Holiday Inn and the people of the state who are going to federal prison here, as I've documented them, while I am in Pasadena, while I'm in San Diego, while I'm on the roads and the highways, because there's no sun that's going to be over me out of all of those locations, including Alvarado Gardens, while it's rising and setting at Hesperia, Holiday Inn, Express and Suites. That's showing the criminal system, which is using the smoke alarm system while engaged in Title 18 criminal conduct. And you are seeing demon possession exhibited by CAL FIRE. That's directly pointing the finger, blowing the whistle on Joe Tyler, who is a demon possessed one. It's legally relevant, the fact that you're a demon possessed one. And you are indeed demon possessed when this satanic system, which is spiritual at its core, you do not have any conflict, you don't have any dereliction of duty, you don't have any ignorance with regard to a massive pattern of conduct that is practiced by a population. When you are in a position of leadership over that criminal conduct, you are directly engaged in it and you are aware of it, and that's why it is flourishing under your presence, under your leadership. And that is speaking to a threat and another demon to be removed from that position. They are literally a threat to the government, a threat to the public, while Holiday and his group stalking with CAL FIRE. So I want to make sure that I document that. And this is what's occurring during the 4 a.m., 5 a.m. hour when there is no smoke or fire, no flame. I want to be clear what the entity is doing. The entity is doing, you have highly unintelligent demons of various educational levels, various backgrounds. They're nothing but demons. And so you have the entity using the alarm system. Any demon, any highly unintelligent, woefully ill-equipped, okay, all manner of ignorant regarding the prosecution of the whole entity that can engage in sounding the alarm system, which the entire entity is going to be prosecuted for, because this is what the people of the state represent. You have many of them that are merely high school graduates. Some graduated from college. Some have been immigrated from another country. They may not even speak English. They're demon possessed, though. They're engaging in the elements of monitoring. This is how you have such a combination of highly unintelligent behaviors when they are caught in a cycle of documentation. So I just want to be clear. The entity is engaging in what is the ability for any random demon, no matter, they're all idiots, group stalking under a fake sun. Okay, so you're talking about the varying educational levels. It doesn't matter how educated a demon possessed person thinks that they are. They will never, under any circumstances, it is impossible to get outside of the pattern of conduct, because this is exactly what demons are doing, and this is the environment that they do it in. And you're recognizing what is equally defeated: a demon that is college educated and a demon that has not even gotten past high school. They are using an alarm system to engage in the elements of monitoring, and you have any demon that's group stalking this hotel capable of sounding an alarm, for example, while they are group stalking me. And then you have the venue themselves that are providing an explanation as to why the alarm is going off. It's pursuant to the identical pattern of conduct. So I just want to give you an example of the ways in which the demons are engaged in this pattern of conduct, and you are essentially capturing the criminal conduct of an entire population that have an identical condition. They're all demons. They're all demon possessed, meaning they employ the same exact identical pattern of conduct, but there are multiple different names, if you will, different DNA, different physical appearances, same exact pattern of conduct. Okay, because you're dealing with Satan that's using all of them together. That does not equal superiority. It doesn't equal sophistication. It doesn't even equal intricacy with regard to what they're doing and their knowledge that they maintain while they do it. You have literally a bunch of demons who are defeated by the pattern of conduct. That is the evidence of what they're doing, and they are always surrounded by the P.O.C, showing the environment where they're engaging in it. So it's currently, by the way, it is 5. Let me get the time. 5:20 a.m., where Jose was giving the evidence of the admission regarding the use of the alarm system. Any explanation that the entity is using is legally irrelevant. It's an admission with regard to criminal facilitation, the use of the alarm system, which was occurring during a hailstorm. And the entity is engaging in the elements of monitoring, while I am again speaking to what is the highly unintelligent methods of light activity, audible activity, doing so during the 4 a.m. hour, while it is engaged in Title 18 criminal conduct. And I'm capturing the fake sun, which you'll see in video on the news, capturing the fake sun by virtue of seeing the light source over the SoFi Stadium in LA, which is not possibly coexisting while it's remaining over me, specifically at this address at 9750 Key Point. And then that's just as I'm isolating those two venues, SoFi Stadium in Inglewood and my presence in Hesperia. It's also maintaining presence over all of the hotels where I'm showing you the identical pattern of conduct, which is, again, excluding the natural environment. And everything that's happening in that specific environment is serving the elements of monitoring. And only psychopaths, this is the concealed mental illness, only psychopaths engage in more of that conduct because they don't have any other alternative. The demons never plan for their criminal conduct, their demon possession to be exposed. So they engage in more of the same when they're being exposed. And so this is why you have the ongoing incessant use of a smoke alarm at 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, where the demons are group stalking in the hotel, as I'm capturing evidence of the fake sun over the SoFi Stadium, by the way. So CAL FIRE is group stalking. I capture them. You will see them in substantial video, which the entity is engaged in federal stalking on my phone, monitoring on my phone. And so my video intermittently stopping, not by use of my fingers. I'm not touching the screen, stopping the video. The entity is monitoring on my phone, using the alarm system, which is evidence of criminal monitoring, as I'm capturing the video, doing so in the specific environment. And those are psychopaths. That's the mentally ill who will engage in ongoing psychotic behaviors, which you are supposed to ignorantly, outside the context of what they're doing and where they're doing it, and the code of conduct regarding the moments at which they do it, they continuously engage in it because Satan didn't make any plan B. So they continuously engage in what is elements of monitoring, as opposed to, for example, a malfunction of the alarm system at 4 o'clock in the morning. As I just so happen to be capturing the fake sun on the on the morning news, which is evidence against the entity. The entity is aware of that. So this is what I want to make sure I preface this evidence of. The entity is using, in the same way I'm capturing the video as I engage in any movement, changing my physical position, the alarm sounds. As I'm capturing video of the fake sun on the news, the alarm sounds. As I'm capturing the demons and explaining their demonic behaviors that's occurring in the demonic environment, the alarm sounds. As I speak to the fact that demons who are mentally ill engage in more of their psychotic behaviors as it's exposed, which is the pattern of conduct. That's the behavior of a mentally deranged person, and that's the entity. They engage in more of it while they are being exposed for it. And so it's not normal to engage in what is light activity creation in a specific environment. And while you expose the fact that it's demonic and it's criminal, the entity will engage in more of it. That's not suggesting under any circumstances innocence or ignorance or coincidence. And why? Because the specific environment continues to control. Not the entity that's maintaining a specific environment for purposes of criminal surveillance and what is also a sex offense inside of a private space. And so I want to make sure that you're aware of that. And I'm going to go ahead and document the people of the state who are indeed going to federal prison. And it's not just the demons who have documented, such as Jennifer, such as Jose, Carlos, such as Jess, which she provided that name. And that's at 11 o'clock at night, Jess, who is on surveillance cameras, whether or not that's actually her name, that's going to be, if that's not her name, you're talking about additional federal charges. The government is not going to lie to the federal government, because that's what's going on when the American citizen is publishing evidence about the state. That is going to be treated as a federal investigation, and everything that the entity does to avoid identification, to communicate a threat, retaliate, like CAL FIRE is doing, while Joe Tyler specifically documented and exposed while CAL FIRE is engaged in the pattern of conduct, because leaders of these departments who are engaged in public corruption with the people of the state are being exposed, and they are being shown to be the domestic terrorists that they are, because a pattern of conduct is underway amongst the population, not some anomaly that has nothing to do with the leadership of those that are engaging in that pattern of conduct. The pattern of conduct is speaking to that which is widely practiced, meaning it's not a coincidence while the population and the government itself are engaging in that pattern of conduct, which the leaders of these corrupt departments are fully aware of. And nor can they reasonably contend ignorance about. You're not reasonably contending. You can, but you already know that Satan is a liar, and you will see many demons denying the fact that they are demon possessed, denying the fact that they know, and it doesn't matter because you're being surrounded by evidence, which you're going to be prosecuted. So you have murderers and robbers every day that are denying the fact that they committed the robbery. They're denying the robbery. They're denying the fact that they committed the murder. The evidence is what's going to prosecute you beyond a reasonable doubt, not Satan's denial, which is, sure, you get your day in court, but it's irrelevant. And it's also relevant to your removal. You're not only going to be removed from the position, you are subject to a federal prosecution. And they're doing that in concert with the people of the state who are acting in the shoes of the state as well. So this is all relevant while the entity is incessantly sounding an alarm with regard to the elements of monitoring while it's engaged in Title 18 federal stalking with CAL FIRE, which is captured on video. It's 5:26 a.m. Excuse me.
Front desk?
Hello, is this Jess?
Yes.
Hi, Jess. You don't sound alarmed. Do you not hear the smoke alarm? What's going on?
Yes, it's a false alarm. We're still working on the issue.
It's a false alarm?
Yes.
So what's the cause of the false alarm at 4 a.m, Jess, when you're trying to sleep?
I'm not sure what's going on. We're trying to work on it right now.
Is CAL FIRE working on it?
CAL FIRE, they're leaving for work. We work with Apple Valley Communications. We're working with them.
Oh, okay, because they were here. So I thought maybe they were going to fix it since they're. I see them in the parking lot while the alarm's going off. Because I was wondering, where's the smoke and where's the fire with the alarm going off at 4 a.m?
Yes, it's just a panel issue. It's not something that they can fix.
Oh, it's a panel issue. Got it. Okay. And so it's going to continue to go off until, what's the name of the agency that's going to report to the scene and fix it?
It's just Apple Valley Communications. They work with us. We're trying to figure out how to resolve the issue at the moment.
Okay. Apple Valley Communications. Is that a fire department or something, or what?
I'm actually honestly not even sure. I just know that's the name of the company.
Oh, okay. But this is one that CAL FIRE's, have they all checked out of the rooms all around me, because they were quite disruptive last night?
Yes, they're all leaving.
Oh, okay. So they were the ones inside of room 306 and 310, like you stated last night?
I believe so, yes.
Oh, okay, got it. Oh, that's helpful information. Thank you, Jess. Do you have any ETA regarding how long this disruption is going to continue?
At the moment, I do not.
Oh, you don't? Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Have a good day. All right. This is Apple Valley Communications. They can state, for example, it being in Hesperia, they can state that they're calling Home Depot technicians. They're calling the Geek Squad from Best Buy to come fix. They can, in other words, they can name whoever they want. They're calling their 14-year-old babysitter to come fix the fire alarm system. It's audible activity. It's relevant with regard to federal stalking, providing evidence about the entity's pattern of conduct while they're engaging in what is group stalking, and then keeping the alarm, which is, again, this is so heavily documented. The entity that engages in the elements of monitoring, it is also simultaneously being exposed as what is harassment and terrorism, while the entity repeats it and continues it as you documented about it. And all it is the elements of monitoring. And as I show you every tactic that Satan employs, Satan, the psychopath that it is, engages in more of the same, claiming whoever is going to come fix it. Guess what? Whoever is coming is group stalking as well. All of it is the elements of monitoring on an ongoing basis. Jess is going to federal prison. Jose, that was speaking to the admission of the use of the alarm system during the hailstorm yesterday with as I began publishing very damning evidence onto YouTube, which is going to be published, all the entity looks at that, and all the entity has a heart attack. The demons go into a flurry, okay? Which is, again, the operation of not the natural environment as a hailstorm broke out yesterday. That's the demonic, and it is as demonic as the fake sun that rises and sets at this address. And so I want that to be clearly documented, and that needs to be understood about how Satan works and how you are able to recognize the demonic environment that you're surrounded by. It's not the natural environment. It is not the creation that God made, the one sun and moon that is not remaining over me in Hesperia at this address. That's a demonic imitation where the state's pattern of conduct, which is Satan's surveillance system, is what California is engaging in. And you are able to see it very clearly when the light source, as reported by the people of the state on the news, is showing the light source over the SoFi Stadium directly over the top of their heads, which is not going to remain over me at any time of day. Rising until sunset is where the entity is keeping the fake sun here, where the alarm system is used as a means of the elements of monitoring as I'm capturing that video. The entity, what it does, meaning the elements of monitoring, and the moment that it engages in it, is also revealing the demon possession of that entity. That is indeed group stalking. Just as going to federal prison, the entity that's arriving Apple Valley they're a bunch of demon possessed group stalkers. Okay. Every fire department, every San Bernardino Sheriff's Department is the policing agency, and they're already a very heavily documented group stalker. They're group stalking under the fake sun that I already captured the other day. They're group stalking with Cal Fire now, while the Cal Fire is directly at the venue. Remember, you're capturing the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department is group stalking while I'm capturing the demons such as Jess on video day in and day out while they're engaging in demonic methods of audible activity in this hotel room while the fake sun is over the top of my head in alignment with me in this hotel for the duration of the day. Okay. When I walk outside of the entrance, when I'm looking outside of the window of the hallways on either side, I'm showing you what is the impossible light activity. I'm showing you what is the fake sun. I'm showing you the light source through the windshields of vehicles who are group stalking, crossing path. I'm showing you what is the impossible light activity that's occurring inside. And that's at all hours of the day. That's an impossible occurrence with regard to the natural environment that the sun is going to be over the SoFi Stadium. While the demons are engaging in surveillance online, immediately the alarm sounds during the 4 a.m. hour. And then I capture video to show you all of whom are included in that pattern of conduct, which is demonic, and it's also federal stalking, and that includes the state acting directly, and that is the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, who are group stalking with the state and just providing unsolicited information that is actually relevant and not relevant, because the demons of Cal Fire, they can stay in any room they want with regard to engaging in the elements of monitoring. You are no less of a sex offender, a group stalker, a domestic terrorist staying on the first floor at the farthest corner inside of this building, whether you're in room 306 and 310 or on the first floor and any other first floor hotels, just to give you an example. So I just want to be clear. The entity is group stalking. I captured that on video in the specific environment, and the entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct of ongoing harassment and terrorism while it just continues to engage in what it has been exposed about, their tactic for employing the elements of monitoring. So you have the incessant use of an alarm, which is nothing other than criminal facilitation. The demons of the 76 gas station, a large truck with a method of light activity. You'll see this on video. A demon on the opposite side of the brick wall, parking in relevant position, using a flashlight. This is a demon that's stalking in the path with a method of light, walking through their headlights, that they've kept their headlights on, and they are walking through those headlights. It's not the necessity of light that's needed at nightfall. That's a demon stalking in the path with a method of light. How are you aware of this context? Because of the address where I'm at. This is where the fake sun rises and sets. This is speaking to the condition of those that are in that environment, which is also shown through their behavioral patterns.
That's how you're recognizing demon possession. And the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection has exhibited to the world that they are entirely demon possessed, because it's not just that group of gang stalkers that work for CAL FIRE. It's the entire department of the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, up to and including the demon over that department, which is Joe Tyler. This is also relevant to what is being exposed. And when you're any ordinary target individual, as you expose, for example, let's say you're documenting a police officer who's group stalking by name. Okay, you get their badge number, you're documenting them, and the entity is communicating a threat while they continuously engage in group stalking you. This is how literally stalking can be prosecuted in the same way that traditional stalking, any stalker, that prosecution becomes more intensified while they don't stop stalking after you get your restraining order. You're going to present that evidence to the judge. They're still stalking, Your Honor, after I have presented them, I have gone to this court and got a restraining order, and they're still stalking. The judge is including and incorporating that evidence of what is an intolerable threat. With regard to the government that's group stalking you, as you are documenting any demon-possessed law enforcement officer, that's a domestic terrorist. That's Satan masquerading as a law enforcement officer. Okay, Satan is in California wearing badges, masquerading as police officers. These are the ones committing murders, and they're calling it accidents. They're calling it negligent over misuse of force. It's not accident. These are murders that are underway while this criminal surveillance system is underway, and they're doing it with the people of the state. These demons are playing cops and robbers under the fake sun and engineered light. Okay, this entity is group stalking while CAL FIRE is at the property, and the entity is talking about whoever's coming to fix it. Guess who's coming to quote unquote fix a non-malfunction? It's the elements of monitoring. Period. And the pattern of conduct by a bunch of psychopaths are to engage in more of that which is being exposed regarding whatever iteration of the P.O.C. is underway. And so since the entity employed the smoke alarm, they continuously sound the smoke alarm, because I'm speaking to the fact that they're using it as a means of stalking with activity while federal stalking is underway. And you know that beyond a reasonable doubt because of the specific environment and the absence of any coincidences in the specific environment. The specific environment is the direct evidence of intent to engage in surveillance, which is of a demonic nature. Jess and every other employee, including her supervisor, her employer, AJ, I believe he's in a role analogous to an employer. All right, a supervisor over the manager, Jennifer. They're all going to federal prison. They're all documented, by the way, group stalking. Okay, they're all documented group stalking under the fake sun, which at no point it becomes the natural environment that is over the SoFi Stadium in the middle of the day, as I captured on the news. And while an entity is engaging in criminal conduct, the very fearful demons who are not fearful enough so as to stop engaging in state surveillance, they engage in criminal facilitation, sounding an alarm, which equals the elements of monitoring, while they are aware of what it is that I'm capturing on a communication device. And this is in conformity to years and years of the same exact evidence that's captured, the embodiment of evidence. It is the P.O.C. that's already on the record. This is what the demons do. This is what the demons are still doing. It's the same exact P.O.C. So I've already captured this same stuff on a different day, and you just heard Jess. She could say whoever she's bringing her little sister, his or her little sister, to come fix the alarm system, because it doesn't matter who they claim. Whoever is quote unquote arriving is the admission of a group stalker arriving onto the scene. Okay, first of all. Second of all, there are no legitimate malfunctions. There's no failure in internet. There's no failure in any utilities, no malfunctions of an alarm system while it's used as a means of stalking with activity creation. And it's massive criminal facilitation, which Holiday Inn is going to be prosecuted for, civilly and criminally treated as a person under federal law. And literally the employees, the persons working at this venue, are going to federal prison. And I mean the ones that are cleaning toilets group stalking, and the ones that are sitting in a position exercising fictitious authority as a manager of a corrupt company that's engaged in profiting off of conspiring to murder and kidnap American citizens in the shoes of the state of California, going by the name of Holiday Inn Express and Suites, because that's what this company is. And they're going to be prosecuted civilly and criminally for that. Demons engage in what is more of that conduct while it's exposed about them. All you're doing is everything that they give you with regard, who's coming to fix it? The name of that's called an admission. You're going to prosecute them for that. All right. And this is what demons are walking into, which is a cycle of a pattern of conduct of evidence against it while it's engaging in what is the bullying system of gang stalking. And it directly includes California Forestry and Fire Protections. They're group stalkers. And group stalking, your understanding, is demonic activity. That is the state of California, another corrupt department engaging in what is sexually violent pattern of
of conduct, which is engaged in the conspiracy to murder and kidnap, and they are masquerading as a fire department, wanting to exhibit themselves, demonstrate the fact that they're engaged in something noble, something lawful, something of honor, and they're not. And it is also relevant to the public corruption with the same entity. That same demon-possessed department is the same one claiming, again, I will repeat, they're claiming, manufacturing, that is, it is the work of Satan having these fires every year in California, and they're always claiming an emergency. This gets them a lot of attention on the news. This is what Satan is after, painting themselves as hardworking heroes, putting out the fire, protecting lives. They're engaging, quote unquote, protecting the people of the state, the demons who are group stalking in the state of California, profiting off of what is the work of Satan. That doesn't even require an actual person to set these fires, by the way. It's occurring under what is the fake sun, which is the explanation regarding this climate and these conditions creating these fires every year. It is corrupt departments such as Cal Fire under the demon possessed and corrupt leader Joe Tyler, who are making money, calling for money from the federal government, calling for the people of the state to receive funds, to receive property, whatever it is that they're claiming that they're losing. This is the criminal system that's underway, and it is also relevant to public corruption through the abuse of the insurance systems, through the abuse of manufacturing emergencies, when it is literally the demonic that's under work. It's not the sun that's the explanation for these fires that are happening every year. By the way, these same demons who are group stalking the people of the state that you see crossing paths in the parking lot, engaging in terrorism inside of my hotel, those are the same demons claiming that their houses are being burned up, and they're on the news, who are reporting to you, the people of the state reporting the news to you. Understand how this is full circle. Satan is crying, oh my goodness, I lost my house. And this is not to make small what is actually traumatic for those that are not of this condition, meaning the malice behind the state's pattern of conduct. These are the demon possessed that are abusing these positions. They're abusing their position as the people of the state. I want to be clear, they're looked at as innocent, and they're not. Okay, they're engaging in abuse of the system, receiving federal funds. These are the same demons that are engaged in criminal summoning, exhibiting demon possession, group stalking under a fake sun, putting out fires under that fake sun, claiming these fires are the result of that fake sun that's over them while they're engaging in literal criminal activity, while they're putting out any fire in the state of California, because it's relevant positioning, audible activity, and light activity. All right, so that's just the relevant context behind what Cal Fire is and what Cal Fire demonstrated to you, engaging what is group stalking literally by crossing paths on video and pulling out your genitalia so that you don't appear to be group stalking somebody else, which is not what group stalking looks like. Group stalking looks like criminal presence in the specific environment. That demon chose to pull out their genitalia to engage in what has nothing to do with looking like you're a stalker. Now, you look like a stalker when you're pacing around with multiple shadows. You look like a stalker at the specific environment where the fake sun rises and sets. You look like a stalker when you're engaging in the demonic behavioral pattern, stalking with any method of activity. That's what looks like a stalker, and that's what Cal Fire was doing, crossing paths with my position in my hotel room while they have multiple shadows pulling out their genitalia in order to engage in group stalking, coming in close proximity to my physical location. That's what that demon did that was bearing the title Cal Fire. That's relevant to what is a sex offense as well, which Cal Fire is going to be prosecuted for. Just want to point that out. And at 5:40 a.m., the entity engaging in criminal summoning, okay? The entity that is group stalking all day long, all day and all night with regard to my knowledge of what I'm publishing on the internet, and engineered light, which fills this hotel room. This is how you know that they're group stalking. And also under the fake sun, that's also how you know that they're group stalking. Cal Fire came and stayed at the hotel, which is evidence informing the world, the masses, and it's also serving for the prosecution of the entire state of California. And as you heard, Jess, she's going to federal prison for it. It is currently 5:41 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, this is ongoing evidence of federal stalking, and this is the impunity with which the entity that is, for example, the demon that's answering the phone at the desk. This is a third party, as I'm referencing their condition of these criminals. These are demon-possessed criminals who are group stalking. And so Jess, who is a self-identified domestic terrorist while working at a crime scene, the entity is using the smoke alarm as a means of stalking with activity. So you'll see a screenshot that I'm capturing at 6:38 a.m. The moment that I create this Google account, which is folder number 150 for the pattern of conduct. And as I log into it on the internet, which is operation of communication device activity on the internet, the entity is engaging in the elements of monitoring. And this is all known because of the specific environment that surrounds. The specific environment is a scientific impossibility, meaning it's not naturally happening under any circumstances. There's no ability to
explain how the light activity is existing. That's speaking to intent. That is speaking to a very malicious and demonic pattern of conduct. So the entity's using the smoke alarm, and that's what you'll see. I took a picture of the smoke alarm, speaking to the elements of monitoring. This is relevant to what is an ongoing sex offense in a private spaces where I'm subject to the pattern of conduct in a hotel room, where the entity is molesting me with engineered light. That's a sex offense as well, touching my body inside of a hotel room, keeping me under surveillance, acting with real-time knowledge, engaged in federal stalking online, and doing so with impunity, literally monitoring the evidence that's going to be used against them in federal court. So that's, again, this is, for example, you can identify one of these defendants who are also demons, and everybody that is affiliated with Jess, wherever Jess lives, somewhere in San Bernardino County, her whole family are a bunch of demons. I want to let you know that the entity is engaging in what is the communication of a threat, and the world needs to know that this demon who is working at this third-party facilitating venue, Jess, is a terrorist, and you need to understand her condition, the threat that she is to not only herself and everyone else. She is a threat to the public safety while she is engaging in the pattern of conduct, and she acts with impunity while the venue where she works at, and she is included in that pattern of conduct, and her impunity is also being documented. It's her criminal engagement, while the smoke alarm is a means of the elements of monitoring. This is stalking with activity creation, using the smoke alarm to do so. While they are, again, demons who are defendants in the federal group stalking and monitoring, are witnessing and literally monitoring the evidence. This is literally Satan literally watching you, exposing him, and engaging in what is monitoring you while you are prosecuting him. That's the psychopath, okay? And I'm using the name of Jess because you heard that name, and you need to relate Jess with what is a terrorist. That's a threat to you, okay? That's a threat to wherever you are, and I'm speaking to those that are not of the condition, meaning those that are not demon-possessed, those that are being targeted by this demonic system. That's why this evidence is coming out. That's why I'm breaking down for you the ability to identify demon possession, to identify the criminal system that you will may find yourself subject to. And this is how, in the same way that I am, you are fully empowered to prosecute the state and enforce your rights against what is demonic as well, for your own safety. Even if you're witnessing this in another country, the ability to identify what Satan is doing using people and how to perceive Satan in the unnatural environment that surrounds you. And it will be literally individualized, if you will, at federal prosecution for domestic terrorists such as Jess, who creates a public safety concern, while a population of her same condition are currently walking around free, acting with impunity, with all of the force of a corrupt government acting with her, engaging in the elements of monitoring. So it's 6:42 a.m. This is evidence that I'm capturing while I am creating the folder to publish the evidence onto the venue of the internet, which will be shared on the Google Drive link, which you can look at yourself. You will see the state of California demonstrating demon possession. You will see the evidence that's going to be submitted against the state of California for the prosecution for criminal surveillance, and which is going to be recognized and defined thoroughly with regard to recognizing domestic terrorism that is underway in the United States, which is, again, news to you. You need to understand that we're not free in this country. You don't have any privacy. And there's a whole farce with regard to what's actually the nature of this country and who this country serves. And it is not anything good. It's entirely dark. And that's why you have the government that is engaging in a satanic surveillance system secretly underway. Again, remember the state didn't even want you to know this. And so that's what is relevant. And it's relevant with regard to biblical times, with regard to history, with regard to the ongoing progression of this system that you are capable of knowing right now if you weren't already taking the temperature of what's going on, paying attention to prophecies that are being fulfilled, paying attention to even this as I'm exposing it, what Satan is already doing right now, what Satan is going to continue to do. Satan is using people. Satan is using the government in the U.S. to engage in it. All right, it's currently 6:43 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, it is still Monday, September 9th, 2024. This is documentation on what is ongoing terrorism as an entity, a demon-possessed entity, and this is public corruption of by the state of California. While I remain in what is San Bernardino County, this is Hesperia and 9750, and Holiday Inn is going to be prosecuted criminally for their criminal activity and also civil recovery from the domestic terrorist that is Holiday Inn, and then also the people of the state who are demon-possessed. This is documentation of the terrorists through the business records, through the documentation that is also supplemented by what the federal government. Again, the entity is engaged in the pattern of conduct is all I'm going to state. The entity is engaging in the criminal system and is fully engaged in an ongoing assumption, a very foolish one, that they are not in real time being
I will just say, examined by the federal government, who is aware of what they're doing as they're doing it, even as I document them doing it. So like I stated, I want to make sure that I'm capturing the P.O.C. as I remain subject to it, and the entity is engaging in what is utilizing. This is criminal summoning, and it's also harassment. Okay, and this is not ordinary harassment. This is harassment as an entity engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. It is pursuant to corporate evasion of privacy. It is pursuant to the perpetual sex offense by an entity engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. It is pursuant to what is the impermissible threat. This is continuous engagement in what is the criminal system that an entity is engaging in while the American citizen has began documentation, which because of federal stalking that the entity is engaging in, this is surveillance online on communication devices, it is aware of and is continuously engaging in to conspire to murder and kidnap someone that the federal government is essentially been made aware of documenting. And any effort to document is the effort to blow the whistle, and any criminal activity by the state, which is what the people of the state are, and the state is acting directly, such as CAL FIRE, engaging in group stalking while documentation is underway, you are expressly and impliedly communicating an intolerable threat which will be directly punished under federal law. You will under no circumstances interfere with the federal government's ability to investigate or retrieve any evidence regarding your engagement in domestic terrorism. And to do so is to pose an impermissible threat, which is immediate grounds of federal prison. Okay. And everything else is relevant to an ongoing enhancement to federal charges and sentencing. And that's how that analysis goes. And by the way, the entity has been engaging in that impermissible threat for years. And so when I state that the people of the state in this groundbreaking prosecution of the state of California, you have hundreds of people who are going to federal prison for a very long time. And I mean years. That's exactly what I mean. And it includes demons that are a part of fire departments, like CAL FIRE demonstrated, demons that are a part of sheriff's departments, as the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department has demonstrated. They are they're waiting. They've been engaged in kidnapping years ago upon group stalking and monitoring, and they're still group stalking in 2024 and federal stalking. The people of the state are adding to the years of federal prison that the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department will serve in federal prison, by the way, because the people of the state are group stalking on behalf of the state directly. The people of the state aren't practicing their own group stalking system. They are in the shoes of the government, the state, and they're acting on behalf of that state that has already committed grievous acts of kidnapping and fictitious exercise of authority. And it is relevant to how long the government will sit in federal prison, as I have documented them engaging in multiple acts of kidnapping, criminal summoning, etc. That's how this criminal system is going to work. And the people of the state are also going to be subject, and it's relevant to their time in federal prison. So this is prefacing what I want to document. And I captured, again, the entity using, the entity is using the smoke alarm with regard to stalking with audible activity creation in the same way that you saw on video. And that's if you watched the video, you heard it while it was uploaded onto this podcast, as I'm capturing the fake sun, which the people of the state that are reporting the news regarding the hot weather, they're showing the scientific impossibility without using the language that I'm using, because it's exposing criminal activity. While the light source was over the SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, there's no sun that would ever possibly coexist because there's only one. And by the way, the sun is not some hunkered down light source that would be directly above a stadium without setting it on fire. But secondly, there's no sun that's maintaining presence, rising and setting over Alvarado Gardens, over my leasing office, over the top of my head, over my apartment, remaining over me when I am in Las Vegas, Nevada, checking out of the hotel, getting up in the morning at 7:49 a.m., and also over the SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, and also rising and setting at the Hesperia Holiday Inn Express and Suites at 9750 Key Point, which is also a matter of direct evidence, showing you the light source in alignment with my physical location at this address as early as 6 in the morning, showing you the impossible light activity that fills the venue, the building, which is impossible light activity, showing inside of the depths and literally through both ends, through the back parking lot portion facing the Motel 6 during the 6 a.m. hour, which is absolutely impossible light activity. And so it is also impossible while it's through the front entrance. And this is at during the 6 a.m. hour, and 12 hours later after 6 p.m., as late as 6:58, 6:59 p.m., according to the documentation where you can see it, the light source is remaining in a position in perfect alignment with my physical location inside of this building at 9750 Key Point, which is 12 hours later. That's providing no provision for the sun to be as it is, as a matter of documentation, over the top of my head at 11:03 a.m. at the Best Western in Costa Mesa, California, in Orange County, where the entity kept a fake sun over the top of my head, and I juxtaposed it with that light source over in the same position with what's going on at Town Place Suites by Marriott under a light source, replete with flashing engineered light, while the people of the state who are demons group stalking on the roads and the highways, which is the exact same construct that you are witnessing while I'm in Hesperia, speaking to the criminal conduct and the condition of those that call themselves the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, while the entity is utilizing things such as the smoke alarm. And so this is speaking to what is very heavily demon-possessed actors who are group stalking. Okay, group stalking is demonic. And the demonic method of using a smoke alarm with simultaneity to my waking up in the hotel room. And it's also speaking to the demonic activity that is revealed while the fake sun remains over this hotel long after the documented sunrise, even into the middle of the day. And it is currently 10:23 a.m. I have already captured the fake sun during this hour, and over the top of my head, through the windows, at this venue, at the entrance, where there's no sun that's going to be anywhere over the Best Western in Costa Mesa at the same time. By the way, over the top of my head, inside of my apartment, through my living room window, at my front door, at my leasing office, all of these positions where I'm showing you the light source, not the sun, that maintains that manner of position, and also for the duration of the day, as I'm from Los Angeles County to San Bernardino County, if you're including, which you are, because this is documentation against the government, the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court at 10:29 in the morning on June 23rd, 2022, which is what I juxtapose very heavily at my apartment in Los Angeles, which is also where I worked at the same property, which is where the sunrise and the sunset is. That's not coexisting with the sunrise and the sunset at Hesperia. There's only one sun, not 14. And the entity is maintaining this light source while it is engaging in the pattern of conduct. And this is relevant to what is prosecution of Holiday Inn. Utilizing the smoke alarm as I wake up, all right, and the fake sun is remaining over this hotel, and the entity uses the smoke alarm with simultaneity to my operation. Both, first of all, I wake up, and the moment that I touch my phone at 9:55 a.m., the smoke alarm goes off, and this is the ongoing use of a terrorizing method of massive facilitation. It's harassment by an entity. It's relevant to how in other words, the people of the state are demonstrating their worthiness of going to federal prison for a prolonged term of years. Okay, that's what this is demonstrating while they engage in that. And I want to make sure that I'm clear, exactly as I recited that, which is exactly what you witnessed. I'm letting you know the environment regarding what you're witnessing, which is providing ongoing context regarding the fact of demon possession and the fact of group stalking by the government, who literally are embodied in CAL FIRE, who were group stalking on video. And the entity was using a smoke alarm as a means of demonic activity, light activity, audible activity, and relevant positioning while they are in the path with the rest of the demons who are the people of the state. So at 9:55, this is what I want to document. The entity using the smoke alarm and doing so for purposes of maintaining a method of stalking with activity. And this is interchangeable with the entity that is sounding as though someone is running on the floor above me, even though I'm on the top floor of the hotel. There's no demon above me. And let me be very clear. There's no demon in a hotel room above me. The demons are stalking in the sky space by plane and helicopter. You already know the pattern of conduct. And the demons are group stalking in hotel rooms all around. They're group stalking in the hallways, disguising themselves as housekeepers. This is Satan using the vessels of people who are going to federal prison for working at a facilitating venue, and they are currently referring themselves and engaging in the pattern of conduct under the guise of being a housekeeper at the hotel, which is a corrupt business, not a legitimate one, where state surveillance is underway. And this state surveillance system is indeed demonic. So I am up capturing images. I just want to update. You'll see screenshots. The entity sending text messages from the USPS regarding a package. I don't have any package. I have not sent out any solicitation regarding information about a package. It's the use of a communication device. It's relevant to Title 18. Operation of a communication device, which the entity is doing with regard to a method of surveillance operation of a phone. This is what, for example, speaker companies would engage in, sending text messages to my phone with simultaneity to my, for example, capturing a picture of the impossible light activity that you saw inside of this hotel room during the 4 a.m. hour while CAL FIRE was group stalking on video. That's the light activity that you saw on my ceiling inside of my apartment in Los Angeles, where the entity, by the way, kept a light source, not a sun by definition, rising and setting at that apartment. So the pattern of conduct is a method of stalking with activity, a method of maintaining the operation of your communication device is to do something such as call it or send a text message to it. And there is no marketing. I want to be clear. There's no anonymity with regard to the things that you have been told and given explanations regarding, such as marketing calls, marketing text messages. They're spammers because your cell phone number's been sold by companies who are, let me be clear, the United States is engaged in criminal surveillance, and it's a means of what is actually demonic, giving you context regarding elements of monitoring, as opposed to some marketing means whereby your number has been given to some sort of company and it's on the dark web, and that's why you're getting these text messages. It's nonsense. The entity is engaging in what are elements of monitoring. The monitoring system, this satanic surveillance system, is demonic. So the use of a communication device, sending a communication device, is also relevant to the means whereby the entity is group stalking and monitoring, keeping you under surveillance, and doing so whether your phone is on silent, whether you have any sort of beeping mechanism on it whatsoever. It's how the entity is engaging in Title 18, 22618 subsections 1 and 2, criminal activity. Remember, federal group stalking and monitoring is occurring physically all around you in the path, and it's also occurring online, on the internet, via communication devices. Okay. And so this is what you'll see a screenshot of. The entity is sending a text message about that which does not apply, and it doesn't have to. It can be something such as some package that you don't have regarding USPS who you did not contact, something that you know nothing about, or it could be from somebody whose name you know, someone you even love, someone that you're meeting up with, and they're doing so pursuant to a pattern of conduct, keeping you under surveillance as the state of California. Okay. They're doing so vicariously while they are any third party, regardless of any relation to you or non-relation to you. And they're doing so as the state, where they're operating in an official capacity, meaning a police officer that's on the job, a sheriff's department, a fire department. They're engaging in what is abusing their position, which is a threat to your life, whether you recognize that threat or not. You don't have to recognize it. The federal government's going to analyze the facts and prosecute and enforce your rights. So I want to make sure that I document that, and the entity is doing so at 9:55. The smoke alarm is still being used as a means. It's very demonic to engage in that. What the entity's knowledge is while they engage in these elements of monitoring, which it's demonic to engage in the elements, and it's also demonic the mind state, the knowledge that the entity has while it engages in the demonic practices of group stalking, and it is occurring through the use of a smoke alarm in my room, and did so again at 9:55 a.m. the moment that I wake up from sleep and I pick up my phone, looking at the progress of my downloads. The moment that I do that, the entity is stalking with activity creation using the smoke alarm, which is again a means of monitoring, which Holiday and all the employees are going to federal prison. The demons that are psychopaths, they're all pacing, they're a bunch of cockroaches in the spirit, pacing around on surveillance cameras, focused on me, and you will see them on surveillance cameras smiling, holding hands of kids, looking like they're going about their day, and they're all group stalking. And the cameras, the surveillance cameras of venues such as Holiday Inn, is also going to be used as education for the masses so that you can understand what demonic activity looks like, because you are looking at the surveillance camera and you are cognizant of what all the demon possessed are aware of at the same time, and it is me. While you're looking at any traffic in the parking lot, while you're looking at anybody walking in and out of the entrance doors, while you're looking at anyone going up and down on the elevator, while you're looking at and are mindful of looking at the records, the use of the key cards, entering and exiting the rooms, the entity that's engaging in any means of criminal summoning that you are in any way made aware of, which again, this is how my documentation will work in sync with what the federal government has to expose the massive system that Satan is engaging in the state to keep a person under surveillance. This is educational, with showing you how Satan is operating and how a population is targeting one person, and how you are aware of what is a mental illness by the demon possessed that they don't want you to know about. Okay, it's been my objective from the beginning to show the entity that seeks to criminally defame is that entity that is literally psychotic. They are out of their mind, out of their minds, and they are hiding it. They have kids. They go to work every day. They're on the verge of literally engaging in what is terroristic types of violent acts. They're doing it in a concealed method. That's what group stalking is. All right, they're targeting people, tormenting people, and doing it in a concealed manner, if you will, doing it in a subdued manner, if you will. These are terrorists, literally, by definition, they're going to be prosecuted, but these are terrorists that are ticking time bombs. It's just a matter of time before they shoot up a mall, before they shoot up everybody on the freeway around them, before they engage in driving their whole family off of a cliff. These are the acts of violence that these psychopaths, these are literally lunatics, and their demon possession has been maintained a secret, and their mental illness, which is rooted in their demon possession, is what the entity is desperately wanting to keep concealed from you. It is not just a matter of me enforcing my rights. It is something that you need to know as a part of the American public, because I'm in the U.S. and I'm an American citizen and I'm enforcing my rights under the Constitution. But this is demonic, and this is regarding what the Lord Jesus Christ is stating right now, what he wants you to know. And you do not have to be in the U.S. to hear what the Lord is saying right now. And it is important that you know that these people are mentally unwell. They are not well, and it is literally a threat to your life while that mental illness is desperately seeking to conceal itself. But you are aware of it while they're group stalking. They are group stalking. They are showing themselves and they're showing their mental illness while they engage in the pattern of conduct. And this is going to increase in aggression, increase in hostility amongst those who become aware of what they are and what they're doing. Satan does not like that. The demon possessed, in other words, do not like that. And they will become increasingly aggressive and hostile and violent, which you have also seen personified, embodied through the pattern of conduct as I documented. For example, the helicopter activity. As I document the entity would increase in that helicopter activity. As you saw this morning, the use of a smoke alarm, that's no small thing. That's demonic activity. That is translated into a formula which is serving to monitor, criminally surveil, which is a conspiracy to murder and kidnap someone. As I documented, the entity increased the use of that smoke alarm system. It is the same pattern with regard to the aggression, the criminal activity that the entity engages in. It increases. Okay, it becomes more severe. It heightens. It does not lessen. All right. That is speaking to, again, relevant to the ways in which the demon possessed are going to be punished for group stalking, including as it is through the state. CAL FIRE engaging in group stalking, documenting and returning and engaging in it again. And I want to be clear, big picture. The state is group stalking on an ongoing, incessant basis as I go from county to county, city to city, hotel to hotel. And you're seeing sunrise and sunset from hotel to hotel, no matter what state I'm in, no matter what county I'm in. That's impunity by the government at large. Understand the macro level analysis that is relevant for how this entity will be prosecuted as one while it is together targeting an American citizen. That includes the mayor of the city that is engaged in group stalking. They are not ignorantly in a position of leadership, placing demons in these positions of leadership over these departments that are practicing the pattern of conduct. You are threatening the life of an American citizen, and you're doing so specifically while it continues, while the target individual is documenting. That is at the forefront of the federal government's mind, because you are learning what is very much under no circumstances ambiguous or vague or just so far reaching that you're not capable to put your finger on who's being targeted and who's doing the targeting. That's an illusion, and I have shattered that. I'm showing you what is very specific. The environment is so specific. It's letting you know exactly who's being targeted, the ways in which they're being targeted. And then you're looking at the demons who are in position over these departments, the governments, the population, the mayor over the demons who are the people of the state. They're fully engaged in a pattern of conduct. The mayor that's connected to the demons over these corrupt departments that are group stalking. You're looking at what is very, very closely related conduct. And you can look at the pattern of conduct as it's occurring, and you are able to make these reasonable conclusions in the natural, but you are able to identify those demons that are strategically placed by Satan. And it is a public safety concern. They need to be removed immediately. All right. So I just want to point that out. Anyway, it's currently 10:36 a.m. The entity's keeping a fake sun and over this hotel, which is already captured on the record. And then this is where the entity is engaging in what is demonic. So like I said, the pattern of conduct is never stopping. You're already aware of it. So now the entity is including a smoke alarm, as though, again, this is the educated and uneducated idiots stalking under a fake sun. Closing the doors in the hallway. These are the demons on the third floor, rooms 301 to 320, let me go ahead and get this right now, because you will see the signage of the group stalkers 301 to 341, opening and closing the doors with regard to the use of amplified audible activity as I am in my room moving my hand around, which I wasn't doing before. That's called stalking with activity by a demon, who's also on surveillance camera as I step into the hallway, on surveillance camera as they engage in lying in wait. Let me be clear, a demon will engage in lying in wait by standing around talking on the phone or talking to another person. They're engaging in lying in wait, aware of what the target individual is doing in their hotel room, which is a sex offense that's being committed while they're doing whatever they want to look like they're doing on camera in the hallways. The closure is the door closure at what is 10:37 a.m. at the same time I'm using my hand is called stalking with audible activity, and that's going to be seen on the surveillance cameras. It's rooms 301 to 341 on the third floor, using hotel doors as a method of stalking with audible activity. And this is what a hotel filled with demons who are defendants who are going to be prosecuted for state surveillance, while the entity is using a smoke alarm in the same exact manner. Okay, doing so with knowledge of what I'm doing while nobody's physically in the room, in the environment where the fake sun is rising and setting, at nightfall where engineer light fills on every wall, the pattern of the window, on all the walls inside of the hotel room, creating multiple shadows, which is the demonic light activity, while you have multiple shadows while the state is providing a tutorial on demon possession. And I'm referencing CAL FIRE, group stalking on video. I'm doing so while using the smoke alarm. So I want to be clear, that's relevant to what the people of the state are doing on an ongoing basis. Rooms 301 to 341, and specifically the rooms 306, 310, 309. These are where the entity is in front of me, and to the left and to the right, and also 208 directly beneath me, where the entity is maintaining physical presence directly beneath me, directly in front of me, directly to the sides of me. Those are the demons that are maintaining position. Even when the demons check out, the demons who are the housekeepers are maintaining presence. This is ongoing surveillance that is underway. And then the entity is engaging what is, you don't need a person to be present in the hallway to be group stalking in the path, including, for example, in the parking lot, and amplified audible activity, meaning the demonic, because there's nobody in any room above me, but yet the entity provides amplified audible activity as though someone is jogging in place inside of a room above me, which is physically impossible. Okay, it's also speaking to what is demonic activity. This is getting into the demonic methods, terrorism, that the government is going to be prosecuted for, and the people of the state are going to be prosecuted for. So it is not beyond any ability to prosecute and recover where an entity employs satanic methods of terrorizing you, psychologically torturing you while they're engaged in federal stalking and group stalking you, which is already built into the P.O.C. that they are surrounded by, the evidence. So they are employing demonic methods to monitor you online and to group stalk you while in a private space. You'll be prosecuted as a sexually violent terrorist who's engaging in the state's pattern of conduct, because that's a sex offender that's group stalking. All right, so I want to make sure I go through all of that. The entity using a door closure with regard to stalking with light as I'm engaging in new movement, physical movement, and operation of a communication device. That is the ongoing POC of demons who are group stalking you. You're being group stalked online. You're being group stalked physically, and all around your path, wherever it is that you're going, and you can identify it through the specific environment, which is the demonic environment. It's a demonic imitation of the natural environment, and it's highly unintelligent. It's not even realistic. And everyone, whatever state that you're in, can look up in the sky and you can confirm with me regarding what is highly unintelligent, because the sun is not going to be directly over me all day long, and you're going to see it whatever state that you're in. It's impossible. All right. And it is also speaking to the prosecution of a state. As I go from any and every county, capturing that specific environment. And then everything that the demons are doing is just speaking to the methods whereby the elements are being satisfied on an ongoing basis while they are admitting to being sex offenders while doing so. And those that are acting with abandon, outright disregard of the rights of another, that company deserves to have its pockets drained to the point to where that company no longer exists. And even if they have enough money, such as, for example, big companies such as Amazon, and I'm not stating that Amazon is big enough to compensate any American citizen for conspiring to murder and kidnap them. But you can name a company as big as Amazon. You can name whoever you want. You're talking about the reputation, which will also speak, and this is justice, that companies don't survive being exposed and being prosecuted and being listed as domestic terrorists. That's justice, because they are engaging in what is criminal conduct. And the federal government also reserves the ability to remove that company from existence because it's actually a criminal. It's engaged in what is criminal activity, not the lawful operation of a business, which is identified through a business name. So I just want to point out all of this, which is relevant to what Holiday Inn Express and Suites is engaging in, using a smoke alarm, which is relevant to terrorism, as I wake up and pick up my phone. And that is a demonic method of stalking with activity, in the same way that demons are pacing in and out of hotel rooms, keeping their hotel rooms doors cracked open in order to engage in what is noise creation with simultaneity to physical movement, simultaneity to operation of the internet, communication devices, while the fake sun rises and sets. That's how you know that they're demons doing that, and that there's no uncanny coincidence that's happening over and over and over again, which is impossible, by the way. It's not possible to have that size of a coincidence. It is a pattern of conduct. Again, it is currently 10:42 a.m. and this is P.O.C. It is currently 12:18 p.m. and what you're able to see as you are listening to evidence against the state of California that is engaged in a fully exposed demonic system of surveillance, which is including a long laundry list of federal offenses that the people of the state and the state of California will be criminally prosecuted for. And it is exposing also what apparently the masses need to also be aware of, the fact that demon possession and the way that it is revealing itself through this criminal system in the U.S., which is exposing the absence of any constitutional privacy rights, contrary to what we are told about, contrary to what this literally the presidential election is supposed to be literally speaking to the distinction between this country and other, for example, third world countries. And I'm showing you through the pattern of conduct and through the revealed demonic possession of those who are engaging in this criminal pattern of conduct, that this is all a farce. What's going on in this country and what's going on with regard to the constituents in the United States, in the state of California, who are indeed group stalking. So what you'll see is, and what also the surveillance cameras will show, the entity is group stalking, and this is demonic pacing, this is amplified audible activity, this is the same demonic pattern of conduct. When you're listening to me call on the podcast and I'm speaking to Jose, a demon, a defendant, this is a domestic terrorist, he's going to federal prison, and I'm prosecuting him, while the demons who are engaging in what is the duties of housekeeping, while they're engaging in the elements of monitoring. This is relevant positioning, audible activity, and light activity. They're doing it in the building, which is a crime scene. That is Holiday Inn Express and Suites at 9750 Key Point Avenue itself. And that is also directly shown through what is evidence that is insurmountable by any demon, no matter what their name is or their position, including the demons that are CAL FIRE, the demons that are San Bernardino Sheriff's Department, the demons that are, as I've documented them, engaging in the POC. And so this is what the entity is stalking. So you will see at what is 11:58 a.m. This is a third-party group stalker, and you will see the screenshot speaking the truth of her criminal conduct. This is a threat to children. This is a threat to American citizens. While she is group stalking, she's got a tattoo on her right forearm. She is wearing glasses, a headband. This appears to be a Latina female with a black a suit on. She's engaging in criminal conduct under the guise of being a housekeeper, okay? Not even making $100,000 a year, engaging in very serious federal offenses on behalf of the state, and she's going to federal prison for it. And if she's not a natural born citizen, this terrorist and this sex offender, appropriately labeled and documented on this Google Drive for the world to see, is going to be deported. And that is something that is a benefit to the public. It's a benefit to the immigration system. It's a benefit to the economy in the state of California. And so this is a demon. This is a psychopath that's using her presence in room 307. That's called relevant positioning, where you will see the map, if you will, that I've provided, the rooms where the entity concentrates audible activity creation around me, because this is the pattern where demons are concentrating presence, light activity, and audible activity, much of which is amplified, which is speaking to demonic. It's also recognizing what is demonic because it occurs with simultaneity to what this demon, who you'll see in images at 11:58 a.m., is creating while group stalking in relevant position. And so I took a picture of this demon's face. This is just one of the many defendants who are, again, the closeted psychopaths who are the demon possessed while walking in the hallway. This demon, who you'll see in the image at 11:58 a.m. Again, it's September 9, 2024, specifically 11:58 and 48 seconds. You're looking at what is a demon possessed person who is engaging in what is absolute lawlessness, and the years that she's going to federal prison for, and everything else that's going to follow her federal prosecution is relevant with regard to her ongoing mental psychosis, which is exhibited while she's continuously engaging in both harassment on behalf of the state. This is a psychopath that's a demon who's group stalking. And again, the public safety concern that you need to be aware of, the more that these psychopaths are exposed and they're being documented, the more psychotic the demon possessed get.
And so that is being documented with regard to the impossible sensational activity that's occurring inside of my hotel room while you are in the hallway where the engineered light, which you will see in images that I captured, where this is a demon group stalking, and at 11:59 and 10 seconds, this is a JPEG image. Well, you will see the placement of impossible light activity, meaning that's not sunlight. That's speaking to the engineered environment, providing again greater context regarding the demon-possessed group stalker, the violent sex offender who you see engaging in criminal conduct by maintaining presence, audible activities, sensational activities coexisting with this criminal presence in the environment where impossible light activity that would never be the product of a sun being over the Best Western in Orange County at the same time when I am capturing that light source, when I'm traveling about in Costa Mesa, going to the Costa Mesa Police Department, remaining at the Best Western, capturing the light source from 10:30 till 4 o'clock in the afternoon at the same entrance doors, showing you the impossible light activity inside of that hotel as well in Costa Mesa, which is what you're looking at while this demon is engaging in more and more harassment on behalf of the entity, okay? Doing so with knowledge. And you are aware of the fact that they're knowledgeable not only based on the specific environment, but because of the pattern of conduct as I've exhibited, mentally disturbed people, and that is the demon possessed, which you are now aware of. They engage in more and more psychotic conduct as opposed to stopping engaging in conduct which another person would find undesirable, which people would look at as what is dangerous, peculiar, inappropriate, predatory, criminal, okay? Not psychopaths. Psychopaths engage in more of that, and that's what this demon is doing, and you will see her images again. She's group stalking in room 307, but this is pursuant to the pattern as I've shown you. They concentrate audible activity around me 24 hours a day, including through where I'm located, and the demons are physically surrounding, and the amplified method of audible activity is traffic outside. Equally impossible, equally demonic. What I am showing you, while the demons are literally the employees of Holiday Inn, they're all going to federal prison. So you're going from cleaning toilets to literally staying in a federal cell. And this is not what the American dream is made up of, okay? While you're engaging in what is domestic terrorism with a corrupt government that has no legal argument, no legitimacy whatsoever in the case against the state, okay? And so I want to be clear. This is what I'm documenting. It's currently 12:24 p.m. and this demon that you'll see in the still images, you will see the impossible light activity captured on video. You will see screenshots while I'm juxtaposing what happened on, again, the correct date is July 31st, 2024 at the Best Western in Costa Mesa, California on Newport Boulevard. I am in the back parking lot at 11:03 a.m. I'm showing you the fake sun, necessarily so a fake sun, because there's only one sun, and that sun that's over the Best Western parking lot as I'm facing the bushels in that back parking lot is not over anywhere in the city of Hesperia, anywhere over the county of San Bernardino. It's not going to be seen over anywhere while it's at that address in Orange County over my head, and also here through the window of the venue where this demon at 11:58 a.m. and 11:58 and 48 seconds is group stalking by maintaining presence in the hallway, using a job as being a housekeeper, which is no lawful or constitutionally protected no lawful or constitutionally protected position to maintain, where the elements of monitoring are underway through the specific environment, which is irreconcilable. No third party has any legal argument to be engaged in the pattern of conduct, and you are engaged in the pattern of conduct. That is the elements of monitoring by literally being present. The entity, in other words, you can stand there silent in relevant position while the target individual is surrounded by the specific environment. You're engaging in relevant positioning while the works of the demonic are underway, meaning the inexplicable and demonic noise creation while you are standing there silent, which is what the entity engages in, demonic activity creation. And then let me be clear, the entity engages in this because the pattern of conduct is supposed to falsely depict that ordinary target individual as insane, as hallucinating, as paranoid, schizophrenic, bipolar, whatever title you want to, as you've been told about so-called mental illness, you've been told about mental illness by those that are actually mentally ill, meaning they are demon-possessed, corrupt actors who are falsely depicting and abusing their knowledge of social psychiatry and whatnot to kidnap American citizens, to criminally defame them. And I know that because the entity is engaging in it here in California. And that's why you employ the demonic with regard to the elements of monitoring, while demons who are clearly in your path are thinking that the federal government or anybody else with common sense is going to overlook you as a part of that pattern of conduct. because they're not. The only reason why this has continued thus far is because you have corrupt government actors, you have corrupt police departments, sheriff's departments, and hospitals. Those in the medical field who are demon possessed are maliciously engaging in this pattern of conduct. Not one person speaking to what is giving voice to what targeted individuals are speaking to, giving voice to what American citizens are subject to. You have the impossible occurrence of what is nothing other than a pattern of conduct in conformity to the state's entire purpose, which is to obstruct justice and avoid exposure, in other words, by defaming American citizens and falsely depicting them as mentally ill. And I'm showing you mental illness. While this psychopath is engaging in what is supposed to be housekeeping, it's extraordinarily loud housekeeping under a fake sun that's not over the parking lot in the same manner that's in its zenith over my head at the same time in Orange County at Costa Mesa Best Western, which again was heavily documented. That remains on the record while the entity is rising and setting a sun at this hotel where a demon is increasing in their harassment as an entity and terrorism as an entity by virtually being present in the hotel room. The target individual doesn't have to provide an explanation regarding the demonic environment that they're surrounded by. You don't have to, because the entity is literally demon possessed and they are employing the demonic. And because Holiday Inn is facilitating and directly engaging in it, these housekeepers are demon possessed. They're third parties. They're all defendants. And those that are engaging in the hospitality industry that are not even natural born citizens, they cannot be shipped out of this country fast enough, as far as I'm concerned. All right, they're going to federal prison because that's necessary. You're going to teach a lesson here in America, what's not going to be tolerated, and then you're going to be shipped out of here. That's the statement that's going to be made in response to what Satan is doing amongst the corrupt government. While the entity does so with those that are not even naturally, you've been granted the privilege to be in this country, and your group stalking American citizens, those born and raised here. Okay, so I want to make sure that you're aware of what's the significance of the images that I'm capturing. And then all I'm doing is just giving with regard to the greater narrative, the greater pattern of conduct, the implications regarding what an entity is doing. And this demon represents one. You're talking about millions of them that are doing this 24/7. That's terrorism that's going to be prosecuted. Terrorism as an entity, both the public entity and the demon possessed entity. It's a demonic entity. That is the state of California practicing satanic surveillance system methods. All right. And it's occurring online. And so while this demon knows what I'm uploading, and you know that about that knowledge because it's impossible under the fake sun and in engineered light, and with regard to a preceding body of evidence speaking to what you are doing as I'm at the venue in the same exact specific environment, that is knowledge regarding what I'm doing on the internet, on my phone, on my laptop, as I download, upload, screenshot, capture image, even fall asleep and wake up, because that's what demons know. They know when you're conscious, they know when you are not. And they're stalking with activity creation. This is what the people of the state who are demon possessed do not want you to know about. This is what Satan himself does not want you to know about. This is all reasonably deduced from the pattern of conduct. All right, this terrorist that is an employee of Holiday Inn is speaking to what fills Holiday Inn workforce. They're demons. What owns Holiday Inn are demons. What Holiday Inn Express and Suites is engaged in the United States is demonic, and it's corrupt, and it's also relevant to RICO charges. You're talking about a whole other basis for federal prison, by the way, and civil recovery. But the entity's engaging in what is criminal by misusing and maliciously using a business to engage in state surveillance with the state. Holiday Inn's engaged in what is profiting while conspiring to murder and kidnap American citizens. Holiday Inn is engaging in that and in showing their mental illness as the workforce, which is showing you what's wrong with those who have nothing other than a different uniform on. Cal Fire, that's the state, same mental illness, same sex offender, same psychopath. The mind state, same mental illness, it's the same condition. Okay, this is demon possession. Your ability to know what is wrong with them, no matter what position they hold, no matter what location they're in. With regard to this criminal system, only the demon possessed are group stalking. So I just wanted to make sure that you're aware of that. This is relevant to the images you will see at also 11:59 and 14 seconds. The engineered light has progressed with regard to moving across to the opposite wall. This is all manner of a circus environment. And I want to be clear, this demon possessed group stalker that you see at the image captured at 11:58 and 14 seconds, this demon has a circus of a mindset, okay? Totally out of her mind. Not with regard to inability to recognize what's wrong, to recognize what's weird, to recognize what's probably inappropriate, and also what's criminal while they're listening to the truth being spoken about them The demons react to it through their demonic behavioral patterns as well. They react to it through the unnatural environment, such as the creation of a hailstorm in the middle of the day. The demons react to it. So the entity is engaging in what is a pattern of conduct, speaking to real-time knowledge as the demonic is engaged in an ongoing progression. And this is relevant to a prosecution in the natural. Yes, the government's going to be prosecuted for the demonic environment that they're stalking you in. The demonic engagement in the elements of monitoring that they are stalking you with and by, and constantly with real-time knowledge, keeping you under surveillance on the internet, which is exactly what you're doing, pacing in and out of the rooms in a relevant position to me, with simultaneity to what I'm doing online on a communication device. And that's including the sex offender that has that same very detailed hovering knowledge about your genitalia being exposed, about being engaged in any private personal activity, which should not be public information amongst anybody working at the hotel or anybody staying at the hotel or the government that's group stalking with the people of the state, all inside and all around the hotel. But that's the massive sex offense that's also underway. Hence the image of the truth regarding the prosecution of this demon inside of room 307. This is a sex offender, and this represents what makes up every documented third party. The federal group stalking and monitoring is a sex offense committed by the state, and it will be prosecuted, the people of the state who will be prosecuted for the state's criminal pattern of conduct that they engage in, you will be treated and prosecuted as the sexually violent monster that you are. And those monsters that are not homegrown, if you will, they're going right back to wherever they came from. They're going to be shipped out of this country, and that's permanently. Okay, terrorism is not going to be tolerated by any natural born citizen or those that have been granted a privilege to be here. Now, if that applies to any of these housekeepers, they are looking forward to their date of expiration in this country after they serve time in federal prison and serious time for group stalking me. All right. It is currently 12:34 p.m. and you will see the progression of the engineer light that's on the hallway. This is what I captured at 11:59 a.m. and you will see that with which you're going to compare to the image that I captured at 11 a.m. and it's progressively moving down the wall across the floor to the opposite side of the wall, which is absolutely demonic. It's like slime, but it's light, and it's crawling down the wall, across the floor, up the opposite side of the wall. That's impossible light activity on its face. Not the product of what will be the sun above us, which is not going to be some hunkered down light source like I show you in the body of evidence. And also it would be shaded, okay? Secondly, the very presence of that light in the movement down a wall, across the floor, and up the opposite wall, that's not the product of the sun being in the sky over buildings and bending underneath structures to appear on the floor inside. That's coexisting with the demonic knowledge that these third parties have while they're creating noise and light activity, walking all in it and all around it. Creating any method of demonic methods, engaging in any and every method of what is demonic with regard to maintaining noise and maintaining presence. And while demons are monitoring your evidence, they engage in more and more harassment. That's just speaking to a fatter check that Holiday Inn is going to write me. And I mean that. It's terrorism while you're engaging in a sex offense, which is going to be respected under federal law. All of the profiting that you're engaging in while you're making, and I mean the shopping center across the street, I mean the 76 gasoline station that you saw group stalking on video, I mean this Los Amores de Julia who won't even survive a civil and criminal prosecution, this little mom and pop restaurant, they're facing their demise. They're not even going to survive. The Baker's Restaurant, the people of the state, the Motel 6. This is just the 7-Eleven and all of the business, all the money that's being made while this demonic system remains underway. This is a lot of profiting while they're engaging in state surveillance. And you're going to drain the pockets. They're going to lose all of that. In addition to what is general damages that you are due while the entity, the state, is engaging in this surveillance system, conspiring to murder and kidnap you, which is why you're group stalking on behalf of the state. This is what Satan is intending to do, and this is what the demon-possessed are doing. And your defense will not consist of trying to establish that you're not demon-possessed. It's not legally relevant. It's not legally relevant. And for you to try to establish whatever it is you think is going to establish that you're not demon-possessed, you are not addressing anything regarding the prosecution for federal group stalking and monitoring, which is engaging in any of the elements of monitoring, which is criminal surveillance. It's a demonic surveillance system. And for you to claim, I'm not demonic, is missing the point. It's literally irrelevant under that federal prosecution. And what you'll see on surveillance cameras, the demons are repeatedly using the doors, and this is on the third floor. They are pacing in and out of the rooms, using the doors, opening and slamming them, ongoing earthquake-like conduct while they are going furious as I'm documenting images of them being sex offenders, capturing screenshots while I'm uploading evidence on the venue of the internet. And the one who you will see in particular is engaging is the one that you will will see again at what is 10:59 a.m. and 45 seconds. She's group stalking in the hotel room, which is room 311, I believe. And she's also group stalking in room 307, just maintaining presence in the hallway with the rest of the demons, because all the housekeeping stations is speaking to presence. And they're engaging on surveillance cameras, pacing all around, maintaining sensational activity, amplified audible activity under the fake sun that's like slime moving from the wall across the carpet to the opposite wall while a fake sun remains over this hotel. Those are demons. And in Holiday Inn, that's engaging in terrorism and a sex offense committed by a corporate actor. You're going to compensate for that sexual violence you're engaging. You're going to compensate for the invasion of privacy that you're engaging in and facilitating. You're going to compensate for the ongoing threat to the life of an American citizen, which you cannot quantify. All right, but draining the pockets, you're going to at least address, you're going to begin to approach what justice requires, monetarily speaking. All right, for those that are group stalking and doing so, coming from, they can come from any, having any sort of filthy background to be in a position to group stalk you, which is a threat also. It's a threat also. Having a criminal record, not having a criminal record, it is equally threatening while they're engaging in an identical pattern of conduct, being of the same condition, which you should be learning and paying attention from. Whatever it is that you're judging people, whatever criteria that you're maintaining, it's a lie out of the pit of hell. This is not what separates us. It's not race. It's not your income bracket. It's not your whatever languages you can speak, whatever educational background that you have. By the way, I'm a targeted individual, having been homeless, not by my own doing, while I am also a licensed attorney, accomplishing my life's goals and not being in a position to be as wealthy as I should be, as accomplished as I should be professionally speaking, because of what this pattern of conduct has inflicted upon me. Contrary to what the entity would like to, when it's targeting American citizen, falsely depicting individuals in an analogous situation to mine, as though they're mentally incapacitated in one way, and that's the explanation for it. And it's the P.O.C, the government that's engaged in your professional life, your personal life, even where you are going to congregate amongst a bunch of demons that are not actually worshiping the Lord Jesus Christ. They're, first of all, engaging in criminal conduct, which no born-again Christian is engaging in. They're also engaging in what is literally satanic, which no Holy Spirit-filled, Bible-believing Christian is engaging in at all, having nothing to do with the Lord Jesus Christ, as they profess it, which is nothing other than audible activity under the fake sun that's over that den of demons that they reference as a church. Look at the documentation regarding Sunrise Church in Rialto, California, which is never sharing a sky space over this Hesperia Holiday Inn Express and Suites, where demons are pacing through a hallway. Okay, so that's speaking to a pattern of conduct in all the ways in which you are removing these obstacles that have been placed to condition your mind to falsely judge people regarding the ways in which this world is telling you what you're supposed to look like, how you're supposed to act, and what must be true about you based on what it is that you're doing and where you came from. It's all a lie of the pit of hell, while Satan is using these lies to falsely to target, but also to falsely depict his children. Okay, being both a licensed attorney and then defaming my character and engaging in what is abuse on the job equals the inability to support yourself financially, having nothing to do with my competence. Clearly, the pattern of conduct, the evidence that I'm presenting against the state of California, is diametrically opposed to any lie, defamatory or libelous statements to the contrary, stating that there is any obstacle that is stopping me other than this criminal pattern of conduct that the state has been engaging in for years, being an obstacle between my income bracket and what's going on with regard to the criminal conduct of the state of California, which again is a basis for recovery. Holiday Inn is just an aspect with regard to that recovery. This is a prosecution of the entire state. I'm going to civilly and criminally prosecute the state of California, and I've been stating this for years. All right? So I want to make sure that you're recognizing that there's a lot that you can garner from the evidence and recognizing what demons are doing, and that there's a greater context. You're looking at and you're being given subliminal messages when you're watching television, when you're looking at social media. These are the demons that are group stalking here, that are coming onto the venue group stalking as I'm going to the mall while I'm in Los Angeles, in San Diego, in Las Vegas. You're following these demons online. They're group stalking at the gym. There's no sunrise through the windows of the Planet Fitness on Washington in LA. It's rising in alignment to me here in Hesperia at some run-of-the-mill Holiday Inn Express and Suites. The two are not happening at the same time. Those are demons that you are following on social media, idolizing in one way or another, whether you're recognizing it or not. In any way, those who know Christ, there is no condemnation in Christ. It's just get your priorities in line. Understand and recognize the times. The Bible speaks of it as walking circumspectly. And recognizing the time, taking a survey and paying attention to what is going on. And the prosecution of the state of California is an indicator regarding what's going on. Walking upright, walking diligently, paying attention, opening your eyes and ears regarding what's happening right now. He is coming back. That's a matter of walking circumspectly, as scripture puts it. Okay, this is speaking to, again, all of these messages, all the things that are designed to deceive people, to distract people, to have them looking to the left and the right, as opposed to looking up to what Christ is saying, to what he has said is required, to what he requires out of us, to who he has called you to be. And it is not some psychotic, sex-offending group stalker pacing around in what is not even a natural, it's a circus environment. They have been made cockroaches, the cockroaches of humanity. That's what the demon-possessed are. And it's sad because they weren't created to be that. They weren't created for that posture. And it's shameful and it's humiliating. And it's also going to be very expensive. And it's also going to be subject to very heavily treated, it's going to be punished, in other words, very heavily under federal prosecution, under federal law. All right. These are choices that people are making every day, though. You cannot claim that the devil made you do it when you stand before the throne, stating that the devil made you do it. It's not going to work. By the way, it's also built into the pattern of conduct. They're engaged in federal stalking. Every day they're making decisions to continuously engage in the pattern of conduct. You are listening to what's coming for you. You are listening to what's being articulated about what you thought was going to be maintained as a secret, and it's not. And you are still moment by moment deciding to take that route. It is the same when you stand before the Lord God in eternity. Claiming that the devil made you do it, claiming that somebody paid you to group stalk the target individual is not going to cause you to evade or avoid any kind of judgment. And this federal prosecution is just a snippet. Okay, the wrath of God I say woe to you regarding the wrath of God. No one can withstand that. And I don't wish it on anyone. But he is coming back, and this continues to be a warning. It continues to be a reverberating warning. There is a time where he will not contend anymore. He's not going to strive with men anymore. And this prosecution, it's coming to an end. Meaning this documentation regarding a prosecution is actually going to occur in the natural. But I want to be clear what I've captured with regard to what the entity is doing. The entity is already fully surrounded by evidence. It doesn't have to happen in the natural for it to already be a foregone conclusion. Satan is witnessing his exposure. Satan knows exactly with regard to the truth that I'm speaking about, what it is, what Satan is doing and who Satan is using to do what. All right. And then you're talking about the federal government, just regard to implications, the federal government and what I'm exposing about what the state is doing. There's so much more information that the federal government is able to gain from what I'm telling them. And then that's just leading you to more and more ways to expose the public corruption that I am exposing. Just by pointing my finger, letting you know this is what they're doing. This is how they're doing it. This is what you should recognize here. That's giving a hot trail. There's so much more that the federal government can find out regarding what the states are doing and how they're doing it. And also what's relevant is how Satan is working. Because that's what, for your safety, it's especially for these times that are going to get more and more severe. It's absolutely vital. It is absolutely imperative to recognize what Satan is doing, how Satan operates, not to be deceived by the appearance of things, not to be deceived by what it is that you hear. The Bible speaks of, you know them not by what it is that they profess. You don't know them because they go to church every Sunday. I've said this plenty of times, and I know it by experience. I went to church congregating with a bunch of demons for years. They were group stalking. And remember, group stalking is demonic. These demons were engaging in ritualistic, demonic activity all around me for years, calling themselves a church. And I will be clear, Sunrise Church in Rialto, California, that is not the true church. That is a den of demons, a bunch of congregating demonic spirits. Okay. And the entity was doing this for years. That's not how you know them. You know them by their deeds. You know them by the fruits, the outworking, the things that they don't want to be known. That's how you know them. Those who actually know him, those who actually are children of God, the way you live your life. Okay. Not talking about perfection, but godly standard, not your own standard. because you're being your own God. God has a standard. He has stated what you are, how you are to live, and you do this by faith. You do this out of love because of trusting in what He has done, and as a response, your obedience is a response to that. That's what the children of God look like. That's how they behave. That's what they do. Okay, the counterfeit is the one that says, oh, I live however I want and God can judge me. Okay, I'm a Christian, even though you are literally walking in darkness, engaging in a lifestyle that the Bible specifically says not to engage in, a lifestyle, an unrepentant lifestyle. You do not know Christ. And I'm not going to like mince words about that. This conduct out here where you can engage and live however you want. You can have your own unique relationship with God such that He's made an exception for you outside of what His word clearly says. No, this is the enemy. This is deceptive. That's not knowledge of the personal relationship with the true and living God, being Holy Spirit filled, which would cause repentance in your heart. When you know the Lord, you're not comfortable living in sin. In any way that you fall, the righteous man will fall 7 times, but he will get right back up again. You don't just live like that in sin. That's not what the children of God do. You don't do that. You're just not going to do that. There's an ongoing work of sanctification, and it does not include demon-possessed group stalking. You do not know Christ while you're engaging in that. And if you don't repent, you will be burning in the pit of hell. You don't know when your time is coming. You don't know when your time is up. But you do know that you're going to be prosecuted. That part you do know. It's a warning, not only to the entity, but it's a warning regarding the rest of the country that's witnessing what the Lord is doing, what He is saying for such a time as this. It is currently 12:48 p.m. And I remain inside of on the 3rd floor where I'm showing you the light source, and the evidence is already captured. I've already shown you the sun set in alignment to my hotel room on the 3rd floor where demons are pacing in and out. And again, 12:48 p.m., the use of the hotel room doors with regard to amplified audible activity and noise in sync with my physical movement, while a demon that doesn't have to look at you is stalking you with noise. That's what demons do. That's called monitoring. All right. So the entity is doing so on behalf of the state of California. The entire workforce for Holiday Inn at this address, they're all going to federal prison. Okay. And I've gone from hotel to hotel, and I've shown you what is an intolerable level of domestic terrorism. The entire apartment complex at Alvarado Gardens, they're all going to federal prison. 60 units. 59 units filled with domestic terrorists, and they're all going to federal prison. Every single last one. They can move wherever they want. These demons are checking in and out of these hotels. That federal prosecution is going to find them. That no one's going to be mistaken. It's not going to be any mystery. There's not going to be any secret. Oh, they didn't know. No, everything that you're doing is fully known and will be fully known. And you're going to be publicly shamed and prosecuted for what you are doing and sought to do in secret. It's going to be in plain sight. All right. So it is currently, again, 12:49 p.m. where the entity is, again, closing. These are the demons who are the employees of the facilitating venue, using door closures as an incessant means of that's harassment while the entity is stalking with audible activity. It's harassment while they're monitoring. Doing so, it is currently 12:49 p.m. You'll see this on surveillance cameras pacing in and out of the rooms. The door closes is exactly what the demons that are checking in and out of the hotels are doing, pursuant to a real-time knowledge about my physical movement while the fake sun is rising and setting at the hotel. Okay. And that's the prosecution of Holiday Inn. That's the basis of recovery. Okay. I'm already criminally prosecuting. You're talking about as you seek civil recovery from the entity, these corporate actors, you're going to literally drain their pockets while they're engaging in the P.O.C. and they're profiting. You're going to drain all their pockets. Okay. It is currently 12:50 p.m. This is P.O.C. Alrighty. It is currently 1:21 p.m. And what I uploaded to the Google Drive are screenshots of pictures that are already published, already captured and remaining on the record, like I referenced in my video that is also being published for today, September 9, 2024. And it is recalling the evidence that remains on the record, the evidence of a demonic environment, the specific environment where criminal activity and only criminal activity is happening. And so that's federal group stalking and monitoring. And so I took screenshots, for example, when I showed you in the previous video that I captured, and the timestamp of that video is at 12:53 and 42 seconds. The video ends at 1 p.m. You will see me referencing the harassment by the people of the state, the demons that are engaging in what is housekeeping, which is the malicious guise under which stalking with audible activity, which is amplified, stalking with creation of light activity while they're pacing all around, while the entity engaged in what is demonic, meaning earthquakes, as though someone is running on the ceiling, which I'm on the third floor. The entity again vibrating the bed and whatnot. This is all demonic, and literally I'm going to be compensated for it, but I want to make sure that I'm documenting it, and I'm also explaining how the government that's engaging in what is criminal surveillance, it's a satanic system, and the demonic is employed to psychologically torment and harass and terrorize as an entity while they're group stalking you, which is also harassment and terrorism as an entity. It is also designed to falsely depict, that is criminally defame, that targeted individual that will allege something that is naturally impossible to occur, and that which psychopaths will look perplexed when you reference it. Okay, the entity uses the cooler, as I've pointed out. The entity uses the toilet that's not being in that's in use. As I walk toward the bathroom, the toilet will start to sound. The entity is engaging with the sound of traffic as I'm in, again, any physical movement, any operation of a communication device. The ongoing sound of what is the sound as though someone is boom, 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 running somewhere. No one in the hallway. There's no one above. There's no one that's below that's going to create any noise from running that I'm going to hear. There is no space even in the rooms to engage in that sort of conduct unless you're running in place. And it's also extraordinarily loud. And under all circumstances, even if you give a natural explanation, because I can concede, you can make up a situation where it's, okay, somebody that's actually doing that. It's not going to explain what is the sensational activity and also the amplified level of volume, which is already built into the P.O.C. When you see the entity, that is the terrorist organization, the LAPD, flying at a great distance away from my office, and I am able to hear that helicopter activity, that's how demons are targeting you. And it's demonic while you are being targeted, and they naturally, intentionally appear to be far away from you. That is the demons who want to appear as though they're not stalking you. You are a paranoid schizophrenic, but you are able to recognize the elements of monitoring, which are demonic every regard. The audible activity creation, it is amplified even as you're looking at the helicopter that flies directly over your building, for example. The entity will create earthquake-like conduct. That's called sensational activity. It is also amplified, whether it looks quote unquote realistic, or when you can clearly see amplification by that helicopter being miles and miles away from you, you are understanding under all circumstances at all times the demonic elements of monitoring. That's the benefit of that documentation. So what I have referenced is the fake sun. That is, again, as I captured video, which the timestamp is at 12:53:42, and I step out to show you the demon that's group stalking in alignment at room 307 and at the other end of the hallway, and all they're doing is pacing in and out of the rooms. And these are demons that are becoming increasingly furious, and you can also deduce that from the activity creation, the sensational activity. Remember, none of this is naturally occurring, so these are demons that also express hostility. It's going to be prosecuted as an unlawful threat, while demons in a demonic environment are group stalking you and surveilling you online. That's all. That's why I document it, because they will be all of this is subject to penalties. Nonetheless, the entity is group stalking, as I showed you the covered up light source. It's not absent. It's there, and I already captured it on the record, and that's what I referenced in the video. And I went on ahead and took screenshots of what's already been captured, and that is the fake sun over that hallway window after 12 p.m. I believe it's 12:18 p.m. specifically. It's over the hotel window, in the same position at the same time when I'm capturing the P.O.C. The entity will engage in this is what I'm capturing on an ongoing basis, and this is the reality of Satan and the malice of the system, but it's unintelligent, and it was never prepared to be captured as a matter of documentation. The documentation, the evidence remains. As in any criminal prosecution, the government happens to be engaged in demonic activity. And so I will prosecute you with your demonic methods of targeting someone. And not only that, you will be subject to what are mental examinations. The fact that you are mentally ill will be a matter of what is necessarily known, public information. Group stalkers are demon possessed, and they are mentally unwell. They are public safety concerns walking around, and they need to be labeled by the DOJ as domestic terrorists, which will limit where they can work, limit where it is that whatever neighborhood they think they want to move into, not before American citizens exercise their constitutional rights to agree or not agree as to whether that is permissible. And by the way, criminal background checks, an ordinary background check to move into an apartment building requires that, which domestic terrorism will disqualify you from moving in, will disqualify you from receiving any federal housing assistance. It would disqualify you from being able to work in any just any and every industry that you would ordinarily be quote unquote qualified for. Demon possession, which is again the root cause of what is group stalking and monitoring, is serving to serve the public with regard to this criminal system and the mentally ill who are group stalking. And so as I'm capturing this video, I want to make sure 1:27 p.m. you're going to see on surveillance cameras demons accessing the rooms on the 3rd floor. They're monitoring me inside of my hotel room. And so I just want to give a real-time narration while they are still engaging in group stalking while they are being prosecuted. That's going to be at the forefront of the mind of the federal courts that are prosecuting this entity. Okay, so nonetheless, in the video that you'll see malice, because the fake sun is there and the fake sun has already been there. That's why I have it already on video and in images. And that's what I took a screenshot of. And I want you to see that. That's uploaded to the Google Drive, while demons who are dressed as housekeepers are group stalking in the hallway. And then you're looking and through my bedroom, not my bedroom window, but the hotel window on the 3rd floor, where at the same time, I have already captured the fake sun. So I went on ahead and did a screenshot reminding you about what Cal Fire, based on the representation, they're parked in the parking lot. Okay, but you've got demons that are group stalking, getting into relevant position into room 310 and into room 309 right in front of me. Relevant positioning is what they're engaging in. And I took pictures of that. But what you will also see is they are not Cal Fire badges. So I want to make sure that I'm pointing that out to you. Cal Fire will be prosecuted even if they had other demons use those vehicles to just park in the parking lot. This is, again, the entity that is under the illusion like an American citizen is going to adjudicate their own case or something. This is, again, these are minions, and even a collection of them will not equal under any circumstances, any matter, any form, any iteration of supremacy whatsoever or expertise. If that were the case, they wouldn't be stalking under a fake sun that everyone can recognize. Okay, so this is the entity that's parked in the parking lot, Cal Fire, but these demons that are engaging in relevant positioning, which Holiday Inn is placing them, these are the same exact pattern of conduct is underway. So you saw demons wearing these uniforms, olive green. Those are not Cal Fire badges, however. So I want to speak to that. Those are state actors and they're engaged in relevant positioning. And I took pictures of them. They're all engaged in federal stalking. They're all documented sex offenders. Cal Fire is engaged in group stalking by stalking at the venue as well, in concert with the people of the state. And this is impunity, that which is relevant to the removal of that terrorist Joe Tyler as well. Okay, so the entity is engaging in what is creating a chapter regarding the domestic terrorism that Cal Fire is engaging in. I welcome it. They're not the first terrorist organization that I will be bringing down and exposing, okay, because that's what Cal Fire is. That's why they were outside engaging in demonic activity, and they did it on video for the whole world to witness as well. And it's not just those demons, it's telling you what's going on with the entire Cal Fire. That is, by the way, as I throughout 58 counties in the state of California, they are involved with, I believe, over 37 with regard to counties where they're engaging in what is federal group stalking and monitoring, and they happen to be engaged in putting out fires and engaged in any emergency services as well. These are domestic terrorists who are contracted with 58 counties. That does not mean that they're not group stalking throughout the entirety of the state. Group stalking using helicopters, group stalking using their emergency vehicles, just like you see them group stalking here at Holiday Inn, where the fake sun, as a matter of evidence to remind you, you will see the screenshot of the picture already taken of the fake sun. Okay, when you were mindful of the duration of time analysis, the entity has a fake sun over my window after 2 p.m. The entity has a fake sun in alignment to my window, non-movement, hours later with regard to a sunset at 6:58 p.m. And then you're looking at the vehicles referencing the state, which is Cal Fire, who's group stalking. And the state is also, that is Holiday Inn, placing demons that are bearing badges. This is the state, group stalking, engaging in relevant positioning by taking their places in the hotel rooms around me. Okay, they're group stalking with the rest of the people. The entity is maintaining an ongoing humming noise, that's audible activity, with regard to the just maintaining an ongoing chorus of noise inside. That's relevant to, again, psychological torture. The entity is going to compensate the American citizens for everything that they're engaging in. You cannot quantify that. This is relevant to what the entity intends to do, kidnap you, with regard to falsely depicting you when they are engaging in tormenting you. And the ordinary targeted individual is one that is suffering dearly and in silence while they're group stalking you. Okay, filling you and surrounding you and stalking you with noise, doing so in an environment that's not even naturally occurring, doing so while you're surrounded by a bunch of literally demons who are mentally deranged psychopaths and are looking to the left and right while everything that they're doing, they're looking to the left and right while they're slamming their door and they're stalking you, because Satan doesn't have to look at you to group stalk you. This is the type of conduct that you're going to compensate American citizens for, and Holiday Inn is fully engaged in that. So the entity is maintaining an ongoing humming, buzzing noise now. This is just another method of audible activity. You will see images and you will see screenshots showing you what is exactly what I captured in the video, where the fake sun is covered up. Okay, you've already seen the engineer light on both sides of the hallway wall in this on the third floor facing the 7-Eleven. That's absolutely demonic and it's impossible. It's also impossible because the entity kept the fake sun over the Best Western in Costa Mesa, as which I captured at 11:03 in the morning, and I didn't come anywhere near Hesperia when I was in Orange County. Okay, I stayed there. I stayed there till after 4 p.m. and I captured the fake sun at the same entrance doors. And that's speaking to the pattern of conduct. That's speaking to a fake sun in the same way that this is a fake sun here while demons are taking their positions, maintaining an ongoing chorus. These are ongoing tangible and intangible harms, which is also sexual violence that the government and different government terrorist organizations are going to be literally prosecuted for. And civil recovery is due to the ordinary targeted individual. And that's what I'm providing the evidence of, speaking to the ongoing incessant and obsessive nature of that criminal system. And it's also simultaneously exposing the mental illness that the demons that are engaging in the system are necessarily suffering from. They are not sane, and you are not normal, and you are a ticking time bomb that's currently walking around as a fire chief over the Cal Fire, as a police chief over any or local terrorist organization, over as a county sheriff, over a sheriff's department, as a fire chief over any of the city and county fire departments, as EMTs who are literally stalking in ambulances, like you see Falk ambulance with engineer light beside the vehicle. That's inexplicable and absolutely demonic light activity, the evidence of a stalker that's driving an ambulance. That's a mentally ill person. That is so absurd. That's the malice of the state. That sort of demonic activity is maintained at the Holiday Inn, where criminal activity, and that's all that's happening under a fake sun, which you're reminded about as you're looking at the screenshots and you're looking at Cal Fire in the parking lot. All right. It is currently, again, 1:33 p.m. This is P.O.C. Criminal summoning at what is 1:34 p.m. The people of the state that work at the venue are going to federal prison. They're systematically engaged in it. So the Cal Fire is here engaged in criminal summoning. The demons who are group stalking with them are engaging in what is these are demons that are engaging in the demonic elements of monitoring, light activity by using the emergency vehicle, audible activity by sounding the sirens, relevant positioning by driving in relevant position, and it's amplified. That's the outward demonstration of demon possession. Criminal summoning is a very serious criminal act, and it's massive facilitation in the same way that using the smoke alarm and doing so with regard to being alerted about the evidence that's being gathered against you. Psychopaths. In every way, you're recognizing mentally deranged psychopaths who are the demon possessed, who will necessarily have a criminal record maintained about them regarding the threat that they are to the public, recognizing what is domestic terrorism in the United States. All right. Again, it is currently criminal summoning at 1:34 p.m. This is P.O.C. Criminal summoning again repeated at 1:35 p.m. So literally all the demons are doing under a fake sun is sounding sirens, turning them off, sounding the sirens again and turning them off. And by the way, they're not even going anywhere. They're engaged in 24-hour surveillance in concert with the demons that are pacing in and out of hotel rooms. That's literally what police departments and sheriff's departments and ambulance fire departments are doing. And Cal Fire is literally stalking at the hotel. They're not going anywhere. It's criminal summoning. What the entity is doing has been fully documented. I've been literally in a position to capture 24-hour group stalking by the state. You already know that they're not going. They're literally just pacing up and down the street, stalking, engaging in surveillance on a nearby block, waiting for a moment to stalk with the use of sirens and lights. That's also revealing the mental illness of the demons who are group stalking the state. It's currently 1:36 p.m. It is currently 2:50 p.m. And so you have seen on video and in images the design, the layout of this hotel room. So I want to speak to my positioning in the room. The entity isolating quote unquote earthquake conduct. This is the vibration of the floor. So what's above, there's no rooms above, and there's nothing that's going to happen above naturally that's going to create any sort of vibration of the floor. I'm sitting on in a desk chair in front of the television in between the two beds that are in this hotel room. And this is relevant positioning while you saw the state group stalking entering into the rooms around me. That's relevant positioning. They're in relevant position on the second floor and the first floor. The entity's group stalking in the sky space. The people of the state are surrounding in all the adjacent businesses And the people that stay also live in relevant position. So just want to point that out. But this is the group stalking that's underway, and it's demonic. And so what the entity is going to be shown on surveillance cameras engaging in entering and exiting their hotel rooms, for example. And even while the entity, I want to be clear, demons who are engaging in what is demonic methods of targeting, as I've shown through document, and I have literally shown you what is relevant to what you're hearing, amplified audible activity, and then I go out and I show you a helicopter that's at a great distance. So you are able to see. It's not like I have some sort of camera outside. Oh, the helicopter's there, and let me walk outside and capture a video of it now. That's not what's going on. I am inside of a place where it's impossible that I would be able to hear helicopter activity. And this is just an illustration regarding what the entity is now doing while I'm in a hotel in Hesperia, and the same criminal system, which is demonic, is underway. Notably, while demons who are masquerading as fire department employees are group stalking, engaging in demonic activity, which again, it's a prosecution for psychological torture. This is going to be recognized under criminal law because this is conduct that demons engage in. The ways in which people who are demon possessed engaging in what is analogous to torturous conduct, emotional distress, I.I.S, for example. This is criminal, and this is what demon possessed, this is what psychopaths engage in with regard to group stalking, and it's relevant to the ways in which they're engaging in that element, in the elements of monitoring. And while you are looking at their placement all around in the path, which exceeds, again, conduct such as walking in the hallway. All right, so the entity is engaging in what is amplified audible activity. Walking in and out of a hotel room is not going to cause the floor that I'm sitting on in between the beds on the desk chair in front of the television to vibrate. It's occurring at the same time a demon is heard stalking in the path, using the hotel door as a means of audible activity. This is the elements of monitoring while they're moving around in the hotel. They're doing the same thing while they stay inside of their hotel rooms or on surveillance cameras, which you will see. I don't have to go out because I'm not going to stay outside of this hotel room and keep these demons. These demons are surveilling me. I'm documenting them, and I know my position. Satan is under my feet, and I can stay inside of my hotel room and prosecute the entity like I've been doing. But nonetheless, what I am able to perceive, that's what I'm going to use as a means of documentation. So the entity is engaging in what is criminal summoning at 253. CAL FIRE is engaged in criminal summoning as well, so be mindful of that. So the entity that is engaging in that same conduct, the elements of monitoring while on surveillance cameras, they're walking in and out of their hotel room. Added context is that they're doing so on surveillance cameras in the specific environment. And that's the ongoing evidence that remains while surveillance cameras are used of what is documenting the criminal activity of a bunch of demons that includes the state acting directly. Okay, walking in and out of a hotel room equals the elements of monitoring, and inside of my hotel room, the added context of what is creating an earthquake-like conduct, which is impossible to occur. You're looking at demons who are walking in and out of hotel rooms, and it's not different from the demons who are coming with minor children, group stalking, stating, oh, I'm going to wherever it is that they're going, and it's impossible. It's equally impossible. It's equally demonic. CAL FIRE is present. Demons that are not bearing CAL FIRE badges are surrounding me in these rooms, and it's not different from every other. In other words, the group stalkers at Alvarado Gardens doing the exact same thing that these demons are doing here in Hesperia, under what is, again, the direct evidence of that, the fact that the fake sun is over the hotel. And that includes, while it is covered up, which I captured in videos and reminded you about what's already on the record. The fake sun is there. It's covered up under the clouds, which is not the natural environment as well. It is as demonic as the fake sun being shown all day. Covering up that fake sun is equally demonic. It's not the natural weather. It's not the natural environment. Okay. It's a real-time reaction while demons are listening to me expose them. This is what is relevant to the demon-possessed terrorists, the LAPD, who were group stalking under fake sun in the morning. It would be covered up in the morning as though that's stopping the fact that it is still present and it was already captured rising. So the entities, again, the absence of any common sense with regard to your stalking, and everyone knows that you're demons who are stalking under a light source that could not possibly be the sun. It doesn't matter what point in the day that light source is covered up. Okay, these are idiots stalking under a fake sun while they're walking in the hallways. Sensational activities occurring inside of my hotel room. This is while the state is group stalking, bearing badges, and they're all going to federal prison. I want to point that out. The entity is acting with impunity, repeatedly coming back. That's the entity begging the federal judge, and they're going to be obliged to grant you time in federal prison because that's exactly where these demons are going. And so are the people of the state, But the state is coming and engaging in criminal summoning. The state is group stalking at the hotel directly. The state is sounding criminal summoning. That's the state doing so directly, not helping the people of the state because they're still going to federal prison. And the people of the state's criminal activity is analyzed in light of what the state is doing with them at the venue. They're still going to federal prison. It's not lessening any damages that they'll be accountable for. I want to make sure that that's understood. Understand and recognize the malice that is not only exhibited through the conduct of walking in a hallway on surveillance cameras and the entity that is psychologically torturing someone in a hotel room, and it is demonic at its core. It is designed to be that which is never to be literally voiced. The entity is engaging in kidnapping you, taking your life, somehow creating manufacturing information such that you are in a state to where no one is going to ever hear you or believe you. That's not happening with me. The entity has engaged in it, and that was for a documentation purposes. That's why that was permitted to happen. I'm going to let you know right now, everybody that had to do anything with the kidnapping inside of that corrupt courthouse, the corrupt sheriff's departments who are group stalking to date in 2024, and the corrupt police departments who are terrorist organizations. And LAPD showed you what exactly all the demon-possessed terrorist organizations in the state of California are engaging in, and it is demonic. And they like to use helicopters. That's what LAPD served for exposing what California is engaged in, because it's a pattern of conduct shared by those who are a part of a fire department, CAL FIRE. And they're group stalking, and while they're walking in, the people of the state are on surveillance cameras walking down a hallway. In my hotel room, I am subject to psychological torture, and it is impossible that any earthquake conduct is going to occur while I'm sitting between these beds in my hotel room on the desk chair. But that's what's happening while on surveillance cameras. You will see state actors, third parties, and or the state directly. That's the demons who are the fire department. The demons who are firefighters. That's the state directly, and the people of the state third parties. You don't have to go. I don't have to go out and capture, oh, this is this demon and this. I don't have to do that. I do that with regard to my ability to seamlessly document. I do for a matter of maintaining a level of probative evidence, speaking to a consistent pattern of conduct, showing again, anything that I state, anything that I contend, I can prove it. So I don't have to make up anything, including the fact that the state is stalking me in helicopters. I don't have to prove that in years of evidence. And I'm speaking to what is very clear on its face. So this is evidence speaking to what no other person has been able to prove before. First of all, the government is group stalking. Second of all, only the demon possessed are group stalking. And it includes the government agencies, including CAL FIRE, and also these demons who are in relevant position, whatever badge they have, they represent the state, and they're group stalking. And while the entity is on the third floor, opening and closing, walking in and out, in other words, of their hotel rooms, the entity is engaging in what is psychological torture, and that's serving for what is civil recovery. Holiday Inn, not only they're going to federal prison, they're profiting while psychological torture, which is again relevant, and it's going to be recognized under federal law. What is analogous to how tortious law recognizes emotional distress, psychological torment, which is now legally relevant. The government's routinely engaging in it, keeping American citizens under surveillance. I have referred to it as a systematic infliction of inhumane treatment. And this is something with regard to means whereby federal law can recognize an ability to recover civilly and also prosecute criminally the entity that is group stalking you. And it is a public entity that is engaging in that. And then you're under federal law, torches to, again, recovering under tort law, the ability to recover with regard to the psychological torture that the entity engages in, while demonic means of group stalking you, demonic means of psychologically harming you while they are engaged in that pattern of conduct. Okay, so you will see it in the title with regard to what it is that I am systematically documenting. And I do so with regard to the pattern of conduct on an ongoing basis regarding the ways in which the pattern of conduct can be not only documented, but the ways in which you can recover from it. And so it is referred to as SIIS. And it's systematic infliction of inhumane suffering. Okay, that's the acronym regarding what's literally hashtag on the ends of all of my podcasts as I document it. It's built into federal group stalking and monitoring. The entity is engaged in a systematic infliction of inhumane suffering while they're engaged in group stalking, which is terrorism, and it's relevant to what is psychological torture as well. And this is to be recognized under federal legislation regarding a means to not only criminally prosecute, but also to for civil recovery, which again, Holiday Inn is going to be prosecuted for. This is not merely tortious, all right? It is criminal, and there's a civil recovery that you're due, and that's why I want to document. While a demon, that's necessarily a demon who's on surveillance camera, which can be verified. The surveillance cameras is coexisting with sensational activity and it's occurring at the same time. It's pursuant to a pattern of conduct in a very specific environment that is relevant to the demonic means of group stalking someone. That's how demons are targeting you, in the same way that they will fly miles away from your home, but yet you're able to hear it. And you are able to document, in other words, the ongoing presence of helicopters. Now, this is not going to provide for, again, the pattern of conduct is something that has to be established by documentation. You have to establish and prove that the government is stalking you. But the P.O.C. and the prosecution that I am engaging in is proving the fact that the government is actually group stalking. The government is a group stalker. The state of California is a group stalker, which is a sex offender. Literally, a public entity is going to be prosecuted for being a sex offender, because that's what group stalking is. Every aspect of the POC is sexually violent. It's demonic. And it's also relevant to what is intentionally engaging in what are methods of an intent to psychologically torment someone. And that will provide a federal basis of recovery. That's what you are accomplishing when you're crossing path in the hallway of in a specific environment, maintaining the elements of monitoring, and the demonic is occurring to the targeted individual. That is, an earthquake is occurring while I'm sitting in a desk chair between two beds in my hotel room. You are also aware of the fact that I'm capturing the sunrise and the sunset. You're also aware of the fact that I have a body of evidence of the state group stalking me for years, and that I don't have to make up anything regarding the pattern of conduct. These are demons that are in the demonic environment, and this is also demonic with regard to their behavior and the environment that they are crossing path in. They're group stalking while the target individual is subject to that sort of psychological harms that are naturally inexplicable. And why? Because walking down the hallway, walking in and out of your hotel room is not creating any sort of earthquake-like vibration or anything like that when I'm in my bed, which I've documented that, when I am sitting in the desk chair in between my two beds in this hotel room. You are aware of this, the ongoing direct evidence of the fact of terrorism, psychological torture by group stalking, walking in and out of your hotel room is the engineer light that's occurring at nightfall and during the day under what is a light source that is not the sun, which the entity goes to the extent to even cover up, which is why you document Satan. And I will screenshot that covered up fake sun over my window and the evidence, which is already on the record, that fake sun right over the top of my window at a time when it is never naturally the case. Not only because it's remaining somewhere else for the duration of the day, it's at all manner of other locations, including another state, but the fact that it's still there hours later at the end of the day, and I'm at the same address at the beginning of the day, that's not the sun. That's giving you context regarding what is evidence of psychological torture, which is what demons are engaging in while they're group stalking you. And this is the state that's engaging that. So I want to make sure that I'm clear. CAL FIRE is fully engaged in psychological torture. The San Bernardino Sheriff's Department, the San Bernardino County Fire Department, the people of the state. It is the state of California that is engaged in psychological torture. And again, I have advocated for federal legislation which does not currently exist. And that is because the fact that the state governments are engaged in group stalking, that is criminal surveillance, which is demonic. You're talking about providing a means of recovery in tortious law, and a criminal prosecution is not adequate. All right, it is not adequate. You're talking about being placed into a position which you cannot quantify the peace of mind that an American citizen is due, and having a right to never be subject to what is surveillance by a bunch of demons in the first place who are mentally deranged and wanting to not only rob you of your reputation, rob you of every aspect of your life that you have a right to pursue with freedom within the confines of the law, your love life, your professional life, your personal life, whatever your spiritual life, whatever it is that you're doing, the government is engaged in all of it. It's all in your business. Okay, trying to destroy it. And why? Because the government that is demon possessed, that's group stalking you, is not merely concerned with your job and you not reaching some status of achievement professionally. The government, which is demon possessed, that's group stalking you, is consumed with every aspect, every facet of your life, trying to destroy it and mar. That is, ruin your image in life, your position in life, your identity. And by the way, those that are in Christ, your identity in Christ, which again, the entity is not outwardly expressively stating that as the purpose, but that's the purpose while Satan is targeting those who belong to Christ, because that's the purpose. It's demonic. But nonetheless, speaking to recovery, systematic infliction of inhumane suffering, SIIS, it is something that it would be analogous, but it is above and beyond. Federal group stalking and monitoring by the state is far beyond tortious conduct, providing recovery under intentional infliction of emotional distress, IIED. But I'm giving that for illustrative purposes with regard to showing the means whereby an American citizen must recover monetarily from the entity that is profiting, from the entity that is making any sort of money, profit, engaging in any sort of business which is also relevant to RICO charges. That's a corrupt business engaging in criminal activity. And it's not different from laundering money and under the guise of having a legitimate business. No, and it's actually not. You're engaged in surveillance in the specific environment, and you don't have a right to engage in criminal activity on behalf of the state, regardless of whatever year that restaurant was put in that position, was built there, whatever year you took over. You feel it's not based on that. It's based on what's going on right now. Your business is therefore illegitimate, and you're engaged in criminal conduct. And there's context regarding everything you're doing, and you do it maliciously. And because of that level of malice designed to conspire and murder and kidnap someone, you're going to be taxed for that. All right. It's relevant to psychological torture. All the malice that the entity employs is to the demise of an American citizen that is suffering in silence. It is designed to have them suffer in silence so that no one ever believes them. And by the way, who are they supposed to report it to? The state that's group stalking you, waiting to defame you, the people of the state who are conspiring with that state, group stalking you. You're going to recover for that. This is relevant to the psychological torture. In addition to what are the demons who are group stalking you, and you're subject to ongoing isolated earthquakes while they're just walking in and out of the hallway at this hotel. So I want to make sure that I'm documenting that. This is, again, Holiday Inn, who's going to be taxed for that. And the people of the state are going to federal prison. While the entity is engaging in it, they're speaking to, again, their worthiness for deportation, their worthiness for federal prison, their worthiness for being subject to what is, again, a never before legislated basis of, exorbitant damages for what you cannot quantify. You cannot quantify one's peace of mind. You cannot quantify one's reputation. You cannot quantify, and that's not merely pecuniary damage regarding your reputation with regard to defamation under civil law as it exists. This is criminal defamation, which is serving to criminally obstruct justice. The government that group stalks you wants and needs to falsely depict you as suffering from some mental capacity in order to render illegitimate any of your claims regarding the fact that strangers are following you, which is how an ordinary target individual will put it. All right. You're going to recover for that. That's causing harm, psychological harm, which is not you can't quantify that type of harm. Or you're going to drain the pockets of every single aspect of the entity, every single last one. And that's relevant to what is punitive, and that's relevant to deterrence. All right, it is currently 3:07 p.m. The entity engaging in what is sounding sirens, criminal summoning, while I am in the midst of capturing this aspect of the P.O.C. So it is, again, 3:08 p.m. And so I'm going to note the criminal act of criminal summoning, sounding sirens, using lights, group stalking. CAL FIRE is fully engaged in that sex offense and psychological torture that remains subject and concentrating all of the universe while the fake sun remains over this venue for the duration of the day, which is already captured within the POC that Holiday Inn is not doing anything other than engaging in state surveillance and facilitating it. And because they do so with impunity, it's relevant to how long every single employee is going to federal prison, and everybody acting as a patron, which you're not free to do in the specific environment. You're going to federal prison for that. Because remember, the demons that checked out, the next set of demons that checked in, they're acting with impunity. It's the one entity that's maintaining ongoing knowledge as one, checking in and checking out every day, day after day after day. And that's also relevant to the state, CAL FIRE, a bunch of demons who are group stalking, and there will be no anonymity in federal court at federal prosecution. And this is providing, again, not only exposing the problem, but providing a resolution. And SIIS, systematic infliction of inhumane suffering, is one basis upon which I advocate that an American citizen shall recover based on the psychological torment. And this needs to be literally expressly included in federal legislation, because the government is hereby declared as engaging in domestic terrorism in the U.S. It's not a conspiracy theory anymore. And so federal group stalking and monitoring, you're talking about having a basis of recovery on the books under federal law, and that's necessary because this is what the government is doing. All right, again, it's currently 3:09 p.m. This is POC. Alrighty, it is still Monday, September 9th, 2024, and this narration of the POCs regarding documentation that you can see on the Google Drive regarding images captured of what is pacing. And again, pacing is that which is occurring in the engineered environment as opposed to just ordinary, normal, human conduct of just strolling, taking a walk, actually going to do something when you're not engaged in some passive aggressive method of some psychotic pattern of group stalking another person, which is what demons are engaging in. They're engaged in an ongoing, incessant multitasking attempt to outwardly appear the focus is on some activity that they're engaging in while they're doing it in the specific environment, which you are always cognizant of and mindful of while you're looking at whatever it is, the props that the demons have in their hands, whatever it is that
that the activity that the, again, on the natural, when you're looking at it on camera, the entity would like to be the focus, and it has nothing, meaning you can be delivering a child on the floor in the lobby. It is relevant positioning, audible activity, and the entity will still engage in the demonic pattern of conduct, having isolated earthquakes. The fake sun while you're giving birth on the floor supersedes the fact of whatever the activity is. And this is what you need to recognize. And this is what the demon possessed fail to understand. So I'm capturing images, and you'll see it at 6:22 p.m. And just to be precise, it's the only pictures that so you're not going to be confused with regard to any other thing or pictures that are captured during this hour. But just to be precise, at 6:22 and 28 seconds is where you will see, for September 29, 2024, I began capturing images of the people, these are the state. Remember, the state CAL FIRE is group stalking at the hotel, and you have the entity that CAL FIRE is affiliated with multiple counties. For example, I documented federal group stalking and monitoring of federal stalking by Merced County, which is affiliated with CAL FIRE, and I documented Merced County's license plates. Merced County is a fire department that is affiliated with CAL FIRE. They were group stalking. I captured the evidence of it, and they're going to be prosecuted for it. The entity is engaging in what is group stalking. So CAL FIRE is group stalking at the venue, and these demons that are bearing badges that are not the CAL FIRE badges, they had blue hats. You can see the logos on their sleeves. So some other county, which again is not the ordinary target individual's duty to figure that out. The entity, nonetheless, CAL FIRE, and you're talking about the production and with regard to any criminal prosecution, the information being produced, and the defendants will produce that information. It's going to be produced. Nonetheless, what you are looking at 6:22 p.m., specifically 6:22 and 28 seconds. So that will be 18:22:28 is the JPEG images they begin capturing. And what you're looking at are on surveillance cameras. Remember the context. What you're looking at are, first of all, these are demons, because while they're engaging what is appearing on the surface, and nothing about the pattern of conduct is surfaced. So the entity is engaging in what is on the surface, looking as though not looking as though, they are again engaging in conduct on the surface that appears as though they're engaging in group conduct. It is a group they're collectively going in and out of their rooms, walking up and down the hallways, and they have food in their hands. What's occurring again inside of my hotel room is the impossible occurrence that you're walking. Even if you're talking about running, it's not going to create any earthquakes, any isolated earthquakes that's going to be felt in the center of the mattress of the bed. It's not creating the sound of someone that's running above my head. The sound of the activity that demons engage in, the sound carries. That's called amplification. The sound is unnaturally loud, and it's also that which carries. So it's not with regard to the location of the demon possessed. That's not necessarily where the sound is occurring. The sound is focused on wherever the target individual is at, and that's very demonic. Okay, that's how, again, recognizing targeting. The ordinary target individual is not capable to even articulate this. They're not even analyzing it. They're terrified by it. Okay, and understandably so. This is what demons are doing while you are looking at on the surface. What are people walking in and out of their hotel rooms? Even getting on and off of the elevators, just chilling outside of their hotel rooms in the hotel, walking back and forth, going inside of, for example, room 310 next door to me, and going to the room right across 311. And so the context, and this is why I went out to capture images of any demons that would be in the hallway, because the entity engages in the same maintenance of a demonic environment in my hotel room when absolutely no one's in the hallway, because these demons do not want to be documented. Okay, but the entity is engaging, and let me be clear, the state is also communicating a threat, and while being engaged in what is reasonably construed as and nothing less than a threat. The entity is engaging, again, defying what is going to be in violation, what is now in violation of federal law. You're witnessing the entity defy it. And the documentation is showing an ongoing defiance for what they will be going to federal prison for, period. And that's just the character of the demon possessed. You're dealing with Satan. So this defiance is also going to be punished. But this is the reality of what our demon possessed. And they're engaging in defiance. That defiance is legally analyzed as a threat. Okay. And so you're group stalking at the venue. You're being documented, and you know that it's exposed. You literally do not have a right any longer to arrive at work. You don't have any constitutional right. The malice of the whole system is exposed.
So it's not a matter of how realistic is it that the people of the state, demons or not, are going to stop arriving at work. Let me be clear. It becomes more and more realistic when the world witnesses them going to federal prison for years. That's how realistic it will become, because it's not worth losing your minimum wage job or whatever it is that you have, whatever it is, however you're supporting your family, however you're supplementing your income, whatever immigration status you've been granted, whatever position that you are currently holding, any licensure, any criminal record that you don't maintain, any exposure with regard to being a demon, which is legally relevant in the U.S. There's a whole lot that's going to be embodied in that condition where criminal activity is underway. You're talking about making a balancing what are your priorities with regard to everything that you lose when you are engaging in what you have never been free to engage in. This is what the government relies on. And the government's bullying system thus far had provided a way of silencing the targeted individual that target individual suffering while this bullying system persists. All right. And so this is balancing out, again, the scales. And the reality is that you're not free to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring while you're on the job. You're not free to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring while you're out shopping in the specific environment. You're not out in public, and it's nothing. There's no free activity going on protected under the Constitution whatsoever. And neither is the government free to engage in or has any lawful basis, which it's going to find itself surrounded with a federal prosecution while I'm documenting the people. And the state happens to be at the hotel group stalking, and that includes CAL FIRE and also any whatever county this is group stalking with the blue hats. You saw their badges, and they've got dark blue hats on. These are demons who are affiliated with another fire department, and I've already shown the pattern of conduct. All of the fire departments in the state are engaging in the same criminal system, and they're demons. And so the context is that on surveillance cameras, you're looking at people walking in and out of their rooms. Pacing is what you see going from room 310 into the room right across is 311. That's a demon that's literally pacing back and forth, going inside of the room. Again, I'm capturing images from 6:22 to a little after 6:23, I believe. I catch a series of images for approximately, 1 minute. A little bit over 1 minute, and I capture a lot. And what you're looking at is pacing, and they're doing so in engineered light. This is the same hallway where I've shown you the shadow bounces in front of you. This is light activity that they're creating. And for example, if you can, in your mind's eye, imagine taking an aerial view of this building in the hallway, and you're looking at all these bodies walking up and down the hallway. They're akin to what are cockroaches, or even if you want to think of what ants do. All they're doing is maintaining presence. They're pacing up and down the hallway. They're doing so in engineered light. You're mindful at all times of the specific environment, and that is giving context to what demons want you to focus on and be distracted by. Oh, we're holding food and we're going to get food. We're doing something. All of this is legally irrelevant. The entity, like I said, can be delivering a baby on the floor in the hotel. You're talking about criminal summoning, you're talking about audible activity, and the demonic environment inside of the target individual's hotel room is no explanation for whatever the activity that demons are engaging in. So you can make it quote unquote as important as delivering a baby. It doesn't matter, in other words. And nothing that the entity contends will ever supersede the specific environment and the psychological torture while demons are targeting you. Inside of this hotel room, it's impossible that the floor is vibrating, that there's any sort of rumbling, some sort of earthquake-like conduct. This is what the entity, that's called sensational activity. All right. And it's also occurring, by the way, when none of the demons are even in the hallway. The entity engages in the same exact methods of audible activity and amplified audible activity and sensational activity. Sensational activity is something that you can feel, and that's for purposes of monitoring. In other words, an earthquake resulting with simultaneity to your uploading a file. The entity is doing this on an ongoing basis. This bed, which is a heavy bed, it's not a cot, and the entity is incessantly vibrating this bed when I'm not moving, when I'm in operation of my communication devices, and when you are seeing on cameras in this venue, because relevant positioning is not only on the third floor, you're mindful, and surveillance cameras of the whole venue gives a full picture of what these demons are doing in concert. Okay. But I just want to point out with regard to my placement on the third floor, you, for example, will see someone just walking down the hallway, and inside of my hotel room at the same time, my mattress is vibrating, which is impossible. This is when I'm not moving and nothing that any person is doing, but a demon, however, a demon that is targeting you is engaging in something that has absolutely nothing to do and has no ability to naturally cause a mattress to vibrate, that's recognizing group stalking. Okay, elements of monitoring are underway. They're in a venue, at a venue, not a hotel where a legitimate business is underway, meaning they're not engaging in any constitutionally protected conduct whatsoever. Literally, they're checking in as the providence of evidence to the federal government, which they will be prosecuted for. And also all of that which was documented before the date that they checked in, acting with impunity because the entity is aware of all the evidence and it continuously chooses to continue to group stalk as the state and as the state vicariously. Okay. So while the entity is pacing, because this is what you see as a series of images, they're in pairs. This one demon that's in 310 is pacing, going into room 311 from 310, and then going back from 311 to 310. And while that's occurring inside of the room, amplified audible activity is what is typically occurring. And you are not aware of what they are, whom they are monitoring, while you're just seeing them go from room to room, while you're just seeing them holding food, coming from wherever they're coming from and going back to their rooms. Everything that these demons are doing is pursuant to a real-time rhythm that they're maintaining, rhythm with what I am doing inside of the room. You are aware of this because the supernatural has already been documented. This is where the fake sun rises and sets. They are nothing but demons. All right. Demons are focusing. You're talking about what is spiritual. So you're talking about the demon possessed who are maliciously targeting someone and focusing, hoping that you focus on only the natural. All you see on camera, there's nobody knocking on the door. There's nobody cussing out the target individual. There's nobody that even knows the target individual. Nobody's focused on the target individual. The target individual is in their own universe, making everything up. And there is no way that anyone is stalking them. The entity is relying on a traditional definition of stalking. That's not what group stalking is. The entity is relying on the traditional definition of stalking as though it's based on the fact that you may work at the venue, you may have made a reservation at the venue. None of that. There is no sense of belonging at any facilitating venue. There is no legitimate right to be at the at the location that the target individual is because it's criminal surveillance. There's no probable cause. There's no reasonable suspicion. And you are doing so directly and vicariously on behalf of the state that is stalking the targeted individual, which is readily identified in the specific environment. Under the fake sun, that's where the entity is stalking in helicopters, stalking in police, fire, and ambulance vehicles, which is indicated through the use of sirens, criminal summoning. Okay. And this is a well-documented pattern of conduct. So the entity is engaging in this. The people of the state are doing nothing but openly stalking. Now, this is supposed to be unknown. You're supposed to be focused on the natural, that you're supposed to be looking at only the surface level of things as you see them, and nothing regarding the specific environment, which is, again, demonic. This is giving context regarding everything else that's happening in the environment as well. The people of the state that are demons in that demonic environment are also employing demonic methods of targeting and also are intending on everyone else. For example, the federal government, who will prosecute to focus on the natural. And that's just not even realistic. That's not going to happen. That has far been disposed of. But nonetheless, I'm just giving you the malice behind the system of group stalking. So the entity is pacing in the hallway. That's what you'll see with their food trays. They're walking in and out of the rooms, and they're doing so. They're walking in and out. And if in your mind's eye, again, the aerial view, you're looking at a bunch of worker demons. All they're doing is pacing, walking up and down in pairs, walking in and out of their rooms. And they're doing so while inside of my room, the impossible is occurring while they're crossing path, creating light activity. You're also mindful of the entire environment. Okay, where the impossible light activity that you see during the day is the same exact impossible light activity that's occurring at nightfall. And it's not the result of the sun, including that's not even the sun. It's staying at one address for 12 hours in a day. And it's also not the result of any street lamps outside. It's impossible light activity. Context regarding what are, in fact, demons, and the demonic is maintained inside of a hotel room. That hotel is going to be prosecuted for that. Holiday Inn is engaging in, first of all, these are demons that are group stalking by virtue of a work schedule. This is how the state is facilitating surveillance in the United States. Okay, it's built into what is supposed to appear as everyday life. You're going to work and you're group stalking. You're going home and you're group stalking. You're in traffic, you're traveling, and you're group stalking. The entity is maintaining the specific environment. Literally, the demonic environment follows that target individual. That's a supernatural occurrence. And all of their behavior is also supernatural. When you're seeing them walk around, they're not levitating. When you're seeing them open doors, they're not blasting them open with their focused mindset, just busting doors open. That's not what you're going to see with regard to the demonic. Okay, the demonic is with regard to the environment that's being maintained, and all of the ways that I have described the demonic environment and how demons are in that environment acting in sync with what the target individual is doing, not just physically, but also on the internet, which is supernatural. Because they are in real time in that specific environment, opening and closing their doors with in simultaneity to my activity inside of the hotel room. That's also harassment and terrorism. Every move you make, noise is coexisting with that. That's really freaky. It's weird. It's actually psychotic that a bunch of people are doing that together. This is what demons are doing on an ongoing basis. That's designed to psychologically torment someone while they are outwardly conducting themselves as, oh, hey, how's it going, Roger? Hey, I'm great, Susie. You have a good one, yeah? Like nothing is going on. That's very, very sick in the head. This is what the demon possessed are doing on an ongoing basis. All right. And so that's mentally deranged. This is a concealed mental illness. And these are the ones that are in this manner capable of targeting an innocent American citizen like this. These are the same ones that are the ticking time bombs. And they are already capable with this criminal system, this pattern of conduct underway, that sort of demented mind state, that sort of malice. They are already capable of engaging in what is very seriously violent crimes against the public. That ability to engage in that is speaking to an ability to engage in great violence. And by the way, group stalking someone is an act of violence. All right. The entity is doing so maliciously without laying a hand on you. This is where we're at in history now. Now, you're talking about what is going to continuously progress. While I'm just exposing the mental illness, I'm exposing the sickness of group stalkers who are demon possessed. This is how Satan is literally working the minds of the demons who are group stalkers and the threat that they are. Many of them are aware of it. Many don't even know. They are not aware that the threat that they are to themselves and each other. Okay. And as they hear it while they're group stalking me and they are listening to the truth about what they're doing and they don't like the truth that's spoken about regarding their condition while they do it, they are listening to the reality about what they are, what they're going to be faced with as a matter of consequences, but also about the threat that you are because of what you're doing in the dark, and it's not a secret anymore. And so there are a lot of people that are demon possessed, meaning Satan has been using them for a long time and they're not even aware of it. They know what they're doing. They are aware of the fact that it's not right, it's inappropriate, whatever title you want to, it's sinful before God, but whatever title you want to put on it, but they may not be aware of the fact that it's literally demon possession. They've got demons on them. And they are also, many are definitely not aware about what's coming, with regard to this massive demon possession. This is speaking to what is already in the workings, the ability to engage in targeting in the ways in which the demon possessed are, who are group stalking. And remember, it's the police departments, it's the sheriff's departments, it's the fire departments, and they are maliciously engaging in this targeting system. The ability to do that, all of the malice that's built in, is speaking to a public safety concern. And that malice, that ability, that desire, that secret gratification through trying to torture and target someone through psychotic methods for no legitimate purpose whatsoever, should be a hint, by the way, that it's the work of Satan over your life. But nonetheless, that is speaking to the predisposition to engage in great acts of violence against humanity, against other people and themselves. Okay, so that's the public safety concern. This is what needs to be known. These are demons that you're seeing in the images captured between 6:22 and 6:23 p.m. And the demonic environment is being maintained. When you're walking in and out of your rooms, when you are walking down the hallway, there is no earthquake conduct that's going to, and by earthquake, I mean there's no shaking of the floor, no shaking of the mattress, no rumbling or shaking of any furniture that's going to occur inside of an adjacent hotel room or any room on the floor when you're just walking. You saw them. None of them are 982 pounds. Okay. And even so, the structure of buildings is not such that everything that's occurring in a hallway is disrupting everyone that's paying hundreds of dollars for the hotel rooms in the building. As you have witnessed, as I've documented, not only in apartment buildings, but in hotels, as I've been documenting literally the state of California, going from county to county and state to state, the entity is engaging in the identical pattern of conduct. So no matter how expensive the hotel room or how cheap the hotel room is, it always has a fake sun over it, first of all, from the beginning to the end of the day. And the people of the state are always engaged in the same exact pattern of conduct. Based on the audible activity, they're all 982 pounds. There are necessarily more than 14 suns based on the evidence of the light source. And there is always dynamic and stationary engineered light, which is distinct from the light source because it does not explain the light activity that surrounds. That's the pattern of conduct by the state. And that is capturing simultaneously also, in other words, blowing the whistle on every single fire department, every single police department and sheriff's department. And that was just me leaving Alvarado Gardens as of July 2024. Where the entity, by the way, maintained a fake sun from the beginning to the end of the day. And these are the idiots who are stalking under a fake sun. If you are looking at a state system and the target individual had sense enough presence of mind to capture the specific environment, which by the way embodies your secret that you are demon possessed, the entity kept a fake sun over an apartment complex. Why do you think that at any time of day, the light source, which is not possibly the sun over your hotel in Monrovia, California, is not going to be suspect? That no one's going to notice that it could ever naturally happen under any circumstances. These are the idiots that are stalking under a fake sun. So you're looking at 6:22 p.m. to 6:23 p.m. These are demons who are pacing. All right. And I want to be clear. Let's break this down because this is exactly what it is. And it's just as sexually violent and perverted, even if they are of the female gender. But these are a bunch of males. I'm not even going to call them men. Okay, because real men know Christ. They walk with Christ. And also real men are not predators stalking a single woman. Okay, because that's what these fire departments, that's what these males are doing. They're stalking. And Holiday Inn is facilitating it. Okay, so I want to be clear. These are a bunch of males and they're all stalking one woman. So you need to understand, because that's going to be legally analyzed and prosecuted. That's a great threat and a sexually violent threat. They are group stalking together. They are invading privacy together. They are engaging corporate invasion of privacy together. Maintaining real-time knowledge regarding everything that you're doing, any private and personal activity. It's a massive invasion of privacy while demons are group stalking you, because they're also mindful of what's going on with my genitalia while they're pacing up and down in the hallways. Those are indeed sex offenders. That's exactly why you see that title emboldened in red in screenshots for you to see many faces affiliated with the state and the people of the state who are sex offenders group stalking at the Holiday Inn, where the fake sun is rising and setting, and where at nightfall engineer light covers the entirety of my hotel room. That's not forgotten when you are shown the context is that's not walking. That's not normal conduct. Those are demons who are pacing when they're holding food trays and going in and out of their hotel rooms, pacing all around like cockroaches. And it's very sick behavior when you are given the proper context and then taking a second glance of actually what is it that you're looking at. It's very psychotic. And it's also inherently sexually violent and predatory. A bunch of males are stalking. Okay. And this is what the government is facilitating, by the way. Just want to point that out. And there will be federal repercussions for it, civil and criminal. So this is captured in still images. It's currently 7:26 p.m. And I remain inside of the hotel room on the third floor where the entity is maintaining the elements of monitoring, including while federal stalking is underway. So this pacing that you're seeing on surveillance cameras and that which will continue 24 hours. They're doing so with an ongoing knowledge about when I'm asleep, when I'm awake, when my genitalia is fully exposed, whatever it is that's going on with my body. A bunch of males who I do not know, who I would never be involved with, who I would never show my genitalia to. I would never let them touch it or see it. They are fully engaged in keeping me under surveillance, group stalking me, and aware of what's going on inside of my private space, which is a hotel room. And Holiday Inn is also going to be civilly and criminally prosecuted for it. This is what the state is engaging in. And all the businesses, the entire shopping center, the gas station, the 76, who you saw creating light activity in the engineered environment. That's a federal offense on video. It's criminal facilitation. They are a sex offender as well. They will be prosecuted. They are the entity. I'm showing you what's going on the inside of the hotel, the entity all around the hotel, including in the airspace. Aerial surveillance remains underway. The LAPD has already shown that aspect of the pattern of conduct. And by the way, it was already established within the P.O.C. The LAPD has provided for what will never, ever be forgotten, the desperate lengths to which the entity sought to murder and kidnap me, foolishly providing that wealth of evidence against itself and the rest of the state of California. And there is no ceasing in that POC. It's exactly what's going on now. And it is demonic. Those are demons that are pacing in the hallway. And they're engaging in a perpetual sex offense, as it will be prosecuted in a private space. And it's exceedingly demented while they do so. It's sick in the head too. And there is nothing that you're actually doing that's about you or what you want to do. Everything that you're doing is about another person that you're group stalking. That's very deranged. It's very sick. And it's also very creepy that a bunch of dudes are group stalking me. And because of that's the mental and emotional aspect, psychological aspect, you're going to prosecute for that. You're going to prosecute for that. All right. So I just want to point that out. It is currently, again, 7:28 p.m. The entity is engaged in not only criminal surveillance, but also federal stalking ceaselessly. This is P.O.C. I just want to be clear. 7:29, a demon opening their door on the third floor, rooms 301 to 341.
The entity is engaging in the door closure with regard to stalking with activity, with knowledge of what I'm doing, and every word that these sex offenders listen to, and they continue engaging in the sex offense, by the way. And that's monitoring someone in a private space, a molestation via directed light, a corporate invasion of privacy in a private space, engaging in what is the pattern of conduct of an American citizen where you don't have any lawful basis to do so. And these are, by the way, this is the fire department. So I'm speaking to, I just want to build in while I'm pointing this out, the people of the state and the state that is these demons that are affiliated with these fire departments. And it's whatever county that this is that will be produced. It's every fire department in the state of California, by the way. It's in every single last fire department in the state of California is engaged in the state's pattern of conduct. Okay, there's no exception. So I want to point that out. And secondly, this is a basis for removal from the domestic terrorists that are currently firefighters. They will be removed from that industry altogether, and they will never have anything to do with picking up any fire hose or engaging in this industry whatsoever, with regards to their engagement in the malicious pattern of conduct of domestic terrorism. Demons having access to sirens and fire trucks at fire stations, engaging in surveillance. All right. And they happen to be engaging in putting out fires as well while they're engaging in state surveillance. That's what the fire departments are doing in the state of California. All right. It is currently, again, 7:30 p.m. A demon opening their door, not closing it. Just want to document this is what the entity is doing on an ongoing basis while a bunch of sex offenders are focused on a woman in a hotel room, as opposed to doing anything that's constitutionally protected or anything that is remotely reasonable in the specific environment. They can claim whatever they want. It actually doesn't matter because it's occurring under the fake sun and in the engineered environment. And the evidence that already is on the record is speaking to you were engaging in the exact same P.O.C. All right. And you did so with impunity, and you're going to be prosecuted for all of that. All right, it's currently, again, 7:31 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, this is just a note. The demons who are group stalking, the same ones you see pacing, carrying food trays, are the same demons that are group stalking in relevant position, the same exact hotel rooms on the same floor. Demons who are engaging in surveilling. These are males who are stalking a woman, and under any other circumstances in prosecution in any court, superior court, where these corrupt courts are prosecuting alleged traditional stalkers and sex offenders. This is what the state is practicing while it's group stalking. These demons that are inside of these hotel rooms, and again, let me get the hotel rooms. It's rooms 301. And this is just on the third floor. Okay. In the hotel rooms on this third floor. So let me look at the signage again so I can correctly give the hotel the number range or of all the demons on the third floor who are just pacing, because that's what they're doing 24 hours. And these demons are one entity. They're acting in sync, and it's rooms 301 to 341, like I stated before. The entity is engaged in what is ongoing amplified boom while doors are opening, their hotel rooms are closing, and they do so with knowledge. For example, as I am noting the threats that the demons, you're aware the entire population is group stalking. And so recalling documentation where the demons who are group stalkers were group stalking under a fake sun in Ontario, California. And this is already on the record before 2022. And what you know about what the entity is doing, any and all of the entities group stalking everywhere that you're going under a fake sun. This entity was group stalking by holding up a sign stating rest in peace, R.I.P. Erica. And this was where they were standing in the middle of the street. They were group stalking, and they were engaged under the malicious guise of collecting money for a funeral for a different person that had the same name. All right. The entity is communicating a threat, and the entity was doing so while that light source remained over me. And that was in Ontario, California, as I was walking north. I walked up Euclid Avenue, and the fake sun remained on Euclid Avenue in Ontario. This is what is so idiotic about the entity that's group stalking, and it's openly showing what is outright demon possession, and there's no avoiding that exposure at this point. And there's also no avoiding a prosecution for what's a demonic surveillance system. But nonetheless, as I'm recalling these facts, the demons who are hostile to what they're and necessarily invading privacy in doing so, they're slamming the hotel doors, and that's creating amplified audible activity. That's a terrorizing threat, not only because of the incessant noise creation that demons surround you with, and they're also hostile demons who do so while they are literally invading your privacy, aware of whatever it is that you're noting, whatever it is that you are reviewing, whatever it is that you are. First of all, I'm recalling evidence that's going to be used against them. And a fake sun over Euclid Avenue, by the way, at any time of day is impossible to be the natural environment while it's rising and setting in Hesperia, by the way, and not just anywhere in Hesperia.
over the Holiday Inn in Hesperia through the entrance doors at 6 a.m. in the morning, ricocheting off the Motel 6 into the back entrance doors of the parking lot at the Holiday Inn in alignment to my hotel window on the third floor facing the Motel 6 at 6:58 p.m. There's no sun that's going to be anywhere over Euclid Avenue in Ontario where group stalking, and the demons engaging in what is communicating threats, holding up signs. Remember, this is demonic, and so the entity has engaged in what is an ongoing conspiracy to murder and kidnap. This is Satan's attempt to sacrifice and using his demons to do so. That's what this demonic system is about, and they are documented holding up signs, group stalking me, and holding up a sign that says R.I.P. Erica. And that is also reasonably construed as a threat to your life while they're engaged in the pattern of conduct. But I'm also giving context regarding what demons are doing, engaging in witchcraft, putting things such as death spells, and then while they're group stalking you, speaking to that threat while holding up an RIP sign with regard to the name of someone named Erica. And there's no coincidences under that fake sun. By the way, this is already evidence that's on the record. And while I am subject to corporate invasion of privacy, demons who are obsessed with me and every opening and closing of literally their doors, these demons who are of the male species are stalking a woman together and terrorizing her and also harassing her, which Holiday Inn is also going to compensate me for. These fire departments are going to be prosecuted for it, and they will also be subject to what is a civil prosecution with regard to the psychological torture, the harassment that they're engaging in. So I just want to be clear. You're talking about draining multiple pockets. The government's going to compensate you. The people of the state are going to compensate you while they profit off of conspiring to murder and kidnap you. And you're talking about a massive criminal prosecution, okay? Because the entity is monitoring through thousands and thousands of people. So yeah, as a result, you're talking about a lot of people who are indeed going to federal prison. And you're talking about numerous with regard to the criminal records that are going to result from the prosecution of the people of the state. So anyway, I want to document that, and it's currently it's 8:05 p.m. where the entity is engaged in ongoing terrorism while federal stalking and a bunch of psychopaths who are stalking a woman together because they are, again, fearful, but also hostile to the evidence that I am recalling, to the evidence that I'm reviewing, and they're stalking in the path doing so. It is currently, again, 8:06 p.m. This is P.O.C. With regard to the use of the key cards, you'll see on the third floor, 309, 310, 311, 308, 306. These are the rooms that are concentrating amplified audible activity, and the key card and the opening up, the closing the door, the surveillance cameras. They're group stalking. All right. Corporate invasion of privacy is built into the P.O.C, and these are sex offenders, males that are stalking a woman, keeping a woman under surveillance and invading her privacy together. So I just want to make sure I continuously speak to that, because that's exactly why they're going to be prosecuted as the violent sex offenders that they are. And also be aware, being a sex offender will be a prohibited basis for ever being a part of any fire department. It is currently 8:06 p.m. This is P.O.C.